Welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are returning once more to Delta Green Impossible Landscapes. We are beginning tonight, part 4, the end, the very, very end of the campaign. It's a 4-part campaign. We started this a while ago. Yeah, some time ago. I think it might take us a full year to get through this by the time we're done, because I think it was like springtime.
March 2020.
March 2020. So can we finish it before March? I think so. We'll see though. We'll see. We've had instances where things I thought were gonna take like one episode took 7, and things I thought were gonna take 7 episodes took 1. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we're back. Very excited. It has a couple false starts here and there. It's been about a month, I think, since we've played, and we left on a hell of a cliffhanger. They don't even know where they're at, really. They have guesses, but yeah. Let's see. So yeah, we're Adventures Lollygagging. We play games on the internet. We're still kind of getting back into the swing of things following the holidays. But I think we're basically back to our regular schedule now. So Fridays, Delta Green until Impossible Landscapes is over. Then we'll figure something else out. I have a couple ideas. Saturdays, we're doing some wondering right now, so we should be at that for at least another month or I think, probably. And then Monday is the big thing. We're starting a new game. Very excited. We're taking a small break from our ongoing Alien campaign, and we're going to play some Deadlands, which is like weird West Cowboy stuff using Savage World Adventure Edition. So very, very much looking forward to that. And then we also alternate on Mondays, still playing our Ultraviolet Grasslands wacky Oregon Trail and psychedelia game. So, but tonight it's Delta Green. We have a lot to get to. We have to remind ourselves how to play, which is a very useful thing. Remind ourselves what the hell has been going on in this campaign. I feel like we should probably spend a little extra time in that in the beginning just to make sure we're all on the same page, and then dive into where everyone's at. So why don't we start by just doing a simple intro to your character? Who are you? You know, something like that. Like, what's your specialty? And then, you know, like anything that sort of stands out to you from the experiences thus far that you've had. So we'll just do it by the overlay. So Ashley, you're up first. Tell us about Chelsea.
So Agent Chelsea's a little bit of an oddball. She always has been. I feel like you kind of have to be in Delta Green. She is our intelligence analyst of the group. So she's really great with computers, computer science stuff. She's recently been dabbling into languages and some other things. Something that really sticks out is just like poor Chelsea has had some weird interactions with marionettes. She's died twice. She's had a really hard go of it.
That's true. Yeah, Chelsea has had a really hard go of it. You've also read the play, The King in Yellow.
Yes.
Earliest to do so.
Obsessively.
Yeah, like a long time ago, like after first chapter. So like in the 90s when this began. Yeah. So maybe that might have something to do why things have gone so bad for you over these 20 years. But who knows? I don't know. Maybe she'll get out. Maybe everything will be fine. I doubt it. I'm pretty sure everyone's screwed here, but you know, someone might make it out. I'll tell you who's not going to make it out is this Long guy, this Vessel. Tell us about Vessel, Long.
Yeah, I'm playing Agent Vessel. He's Romanian, born in the U.S. Home is Las Vegas. He's worked for the FBI, part of the hostage rescue team. He specializes in combat. And something that stuck out this campaign is the recurrence of these marionettes that keep showing up ever since he's seen them once. And he makes sure he stays fed during the missions.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier today, wasn't it? Someone mentioned that on like a YouTube chat. Like they said, it's a fact that Vessel just eats everything. So yeah, I can put anything in front of him and he'll eat it. Because I think it's true of Long in real life. Because like back when we played in person, you would eat anything. Like you would like literally hoover up food. So
that's true.
It's amazing. Your metabolism is something to be desired.
I would love your metabolism.
Agreed.
Sure.
between Long and Melissa, they'll eat like I don't know, they eat the same food that I eat, and then I'll gain like 10 pounds, and then they'll, lose 10 pounds. It's very fun. It's very fun. Okay. Speaking of very fun, we've got our good friend Derek. Derek, tell us about Album.
Yes. Agent Album has gone through quite a journey. He started off as an astrophysicist, worked for NASA. Stuff happened. He was labeled a terrorist simply because he did chemistry. He didn't actually plant the bombs. And now he's kind of like the crazy Inspector Gadget. He like makes things and does a lot of like stuff with technology, and is full of more conspiracy theories than probably anybody else in the group. But it served him well so far. I think he has the second highest sanity, if not the highest. I can't recall.
I think you have the highest. I think it's between you and Chelsea, actually. Maybe. I know that
19.
Oh, it's between you and Fawn. Okay, Fawn's got the second highest. I know that. I know who's got the least. That's the old Agent Vessel. He's in the single digits.
It's probably
It used to be that low.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You get some back every now and then when you do certain things. You get rewarded with that. And then button in to Derek's introduction. I guess we gotta let Melissa introduce herself too. Melissa, who are you playing? Tell us about Fawn.
So Agent Fawn is the historian archaeologist of the group. Worked and continues to work for the National Park Service. So from a career perspective, her life wasn't necessarily too interrupted. However, on a personal level, the death of her sister in between a couple of chapters here and there was quite devastating. And then so I think that for me has probably kind of that through thread of Ariana and kind of finding out that she died, and then in chapter 3 like being able to talk to her over the radio when we were at the Dorchester. That's definitely
It was chapter 2 you were able to talk to her. Chapter 3, you guys basically pulled up within the Boxer Hotel, and then we went into a different hotel.
Just continued to try to find radios to talk with her on.
We just hopped hotel. We were as a hotel hopping in chapter 3.
Yeah.
All right.
Because being shot at by figures was scary.
Yeah, I suppose. All right. So let me try to summarize. Okay, it's start of a new chapter, the final chapters. Let's try to summarize to a little bigger summary of the campaign to date. So kind of keep everything up to date. This whole thing began in 1995, right? I remember that good old the old days. Everyone was like in their 30s, optimistic. Not really, because you were all sort of touched by the unnatural in some way before, but wasn't nearly as bad as things are now. But it was 1995. You all came together on Operation Alice. You were activated. You were called to Washington Square Park in New York City. You met with your handler. You were thrown together, and you were given a task to investigate at the McAllister Building in New York City the disappearance of a young artist by the name of Abigail Wright, because these weird symbols and things were found in her apartment, right? And through the course of that investigation, you discovered a few things. I mean, you discovered the yellow sign, which has become a recurring thing that you've seen over and over and over again. It has some sort of power and control over some people. You discovered the play, The King in Yellow, and heard whispers of the entity, The King in Yellow. You also kind of tapped into like some kind of ongoing weird demonology thing that's been going on. And most importantly, you discovered that the McAllister Building at night, it changed. The floors just went on infinitely, it seemed. And you guys actually almost kind of got caught in there for a bit, wandering around, got lost, had some strange interactions, met some people out of time, out of place, had a very few incredibly bizarre encounters. But eventually you got out, and you decided that the best way to prevent the spread of the unnatural, which is like one of the main things Delta Green needs to do, is to destroy the place. And so I think it was Album and Vessel who were the two that kind of put their heads together to figure out how to make some bombs and how to place some bombs. sometimes got caught on some grainy 1995 video cameras purchasing some of the equipment. But you blew up the building, blew up the McAllister building and part of a neighboring building because some slight miscalculations. And that kind of haunted Album for a bit. And it also sort of screwed you guys up too, as with the calamity that was the end of that operation. You guys kind of split off and went in separate directions, joined different cells, assigned to different tasks through Delta Green. And it wasn't until 20 years later, despite the fact that you all had some strange things that happened in the interim. Fawn already mentioned it. Her sister was killed. Vessel unknowingly, we know it, but Vessel unknowingly scratched the yellow sign on an airplane, which caused a bit of a spiral. Chelsea got fired, lost her job, was kind of pushed out of the FBI, and started reading the play, had some strange like time loss as you were hopping from motel to motel throughout the kind of the Northeast and the Midwest. But 20 years later, you all came back together as you all were giving a birthday invitation to a fake name that all you were able to recognize was a Delta Green name. Like you knew you were being activated for an operation. And it was in Boston, 2015. And you all met up. And not only did you notice each other, but you all started to have some questions immediately about the shadiness of your handler. You started to investigate. This time it was Operation India Moon, and you were tasked with looking into the disappearances of multiple psychiatric patients from the Dorchester house. Psychiatric patients who were actually Delta Green operatives. And one of the other reasons that you were kind of drawn on this case, or this maybe caught your attention, is because the name Abigail Wright, 20 years later, was scrawled on the wall of one of the psychiatric patients' rooms. Through the course of your investigation, it turned out that the yellow sign had found its way into this particular facility. Something called the Encounter Group started popping up here and there. Some kind of weird self-help group that used the symbol as sort of an icon for its meetings.
Never actually went to.
Never got to go to one of those. Never will. It's a shame. I had such wonderful things planned for it. That's okay. But it turns out some of the hospital staff had kind of lost their minds to the pull of whatever the yellow sign is. And eventually you all got trapped within Dorchester House, much like the night floor. Except it was even worse this time, as like for a short period of time, or maybe it was for a long period of time, it actually felt like maybe you all were actually patients. Like there was like this moment of doubt. Eventually, though, you were able to kind of get your wits about you, and you made it out. You had to make some strange alliances. One with a man named Timothy Bale, who seems to somehow be the architect of modern demonology, even though he's only like 30 years old. Makes no sense timeline. You've heard him and seen him seem to like choreograph and arrange these strange incidences and encounters that in some cases involve you over the course of time that just don't make sense at all. You also worked with a guy named Mr. Wild, who gave you these weird, strange, make no sense tasks to complete in the outside world, and you had to drink red goo that was taken out of the eyeball of Chelsea. That's how you all made it out. You were also nearly killed by a giant clown that was getting bigger and bigger, but nonetheless, you made it out. And even though it felt like you were inside that Dorchester house for weeks, it only like a day had passed, and you were back in Boston in a random house in the suburbs. And you kind of continued your investigation. You found a place called the Boxer Hotel where something horrible happened, and it was this weird kind of out of time, out of place. And so you holed up there for a while. And ever since you got out of the Dorchester house, all of you were having these weird visions and interactions. Album was starting to like read messages and like graffiti and other things, and seeing people disappear into like cabinets and trunks, these exits and entrances that made no physical sense. Vessels saw people yanked up into the sky on like strings like puppets. Fawn was getting these glowing messages on adverts and random trash, and Chelsea was hearing voices, the voice of Timothy Bale. And after a time, you all started seeing these shotgun wielding, gas mask wearing figures that would pop up on the periphery of your vision that would be just down the street, and they all seemed to be tracking you and herding you and kind of slowly circling around you all until they decided to start shooting at you. And then the chase began, right? And this is all following strange encounters inside the Boxer Hotel that included you all possibly seeing the King in Yellow and Chelsea being murdered by a shadow, effectively, while no one else was around, and then coming back to life in her body that was stabbed to death, turning into a puppet.
Walking
But all
out
of you
those
were-
random
mannequins
door.
and things.
Yeah. So then all of you started getting chased across Boston at first, but then different places, movie theaters, plays, different times. Like you saw audience members that were dressed in attire that did not look like 2015. And then suddenly you were on the streets of New York City, but it wasn't New York City in 2015. It looked like something in the 50s. Vessel was shot dead in the streets by one of these shotgun wielding maniacs. But as you all continued to run and run, you saw the Hotel Broadalbin, a place that you'd heard about from the very beginning, right? It was from the very beginning, there was references to it. You even had a crinkled map from the times in Abigail Wright's apartment. And you went inside, and who was waiting for you but Vessel, who believed he'd been there for some time and was waiting you all. While you were there, suddenly there's all these different people in the Hotel Broadalbin that you'd either read about, heard about. They were in files. You saw photos. Asa Darabandi, a child killer who had been dead for like 60 years. Mark Rourke, who you had met in the night floors and who shouldn't even be alive anymore. Emmeline Fitzroy, a wonderkin children writer who died when, back in the 30s. And you encountered all these people. And you heard about the Whisper Labyrinth, the place where people's bottles were, right? That gives some sort of message or something. You also had this poem that was kind of leading you forward, telling you about find J.C. Lynn's, the author's bottle. And one by one, you all made it into this Whisper Labyrinth. You used a map you used to have, your own wherewithal. You were split up for a bit. Chelsea actually found her own bottle and was given a message. And eventually you all found J.C. Lynn's bottle, two different groups. And interacting with it opened up a passageway and stairs that went into mist. And the last thing we saw at the end of part 3 was everyone disappearing into this passageway. And the last image or the last concept we got was the sound of waves. And so we're going to pick up right there with the sound of those waves. I'm going to start with Chelsea. It's a black screen. So imagine this cinematically. It's black screen. All we hear is the sound of sort of like this mantra-like repetitive sloshing waves. But we see a younger Chelsea, right? How old would we say Chelsea is right now?
Probably like 9.
9-year-old Chelsea suddenly pops up on the screen. What is she doing?
She's laying down in like a field of grass, and like nearby you can hear like the creak of like a tire swing, just kind of like drifting in the breeze.
Okay. Is there anybody else there with you, or is it just you and this tire swing?
Her sister is actually nearby picking flowers.
So you like, this is probably a memory or a dream you've had over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty familiar with it. The picking of flowers, the smell of the grass, the creek moving, the creaking of the tire swing, all of it over and over. But probably what's new this time, kind of like watching a movie, like a child's movie that you watch as a kid and then you watch years later as an adult, and you start picking up little references that you didn't pick up on when you were a kid, is you notice that there's sort of these other sounds, right? You suddenly hear like this whirring, like, and this ticking, like a strange like image shifts around from behind that like tire swing, and you see a shadow kind of cast against what looks like a tree trunk, and you see tick, 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 a whirring of like gears winding up.
Mhm.
And you see like this is just it's not just some random out in the nowhere pasture, right? It's near like a suburb area. And you see this clockwork machine just kind of crawling up the side of this trunk of a tree, like right above where that tire swing is swinging, and then like hops over onto a rooftop of a house. And then we'll cut. And Vessel, we see you this time. How old's Vessel when we see him?
He's 11.
11? What does 11-year-old Vessel look like?
Looks like a little kid.
Looks like, well,
Bald.
yeah. He's bald?
Yeah, buzz cut.
Oh, okay. I was going to say 11-year-old. It's a little early for male pattern baldness, but that's pretty rough on him. Okay. What is 11-year-old Vessel doing?
He's getting ready for bed, but he's peeking out of his blinds.
He's peeking out of his blinds. What does he see when he looks out of his blinds?
He sees shadowy, faceless figures just standing behind like cars and trees, staring at him.
Yeah. And similar to like Chelsea, like things start to crystallize a little bit for you now. Like, because you're viewing it almost like from an adult perspective. You hear that vague sound of like waves sloshing that you probably didn't recognize before. And most of the faces are like shadows, kind of black or dark or obscured. But you see like this long loping shadow on the road, and it's moving. Like you're not even sure what the light's being cast from. It might be the moon, it might be the stars. And it's just kind of doing this weird lope. And then it freezes, and then lope, and then it freezes. And you see this massive shadow just stretch for hundreds of feet. And your eyes track, and you see this clown just loping about in the middle of the road, just sliding in between. The only color that you see, everything else is sort of various shades of gray and black, passing by cars and other people, trailing this little loping dragon kite in the sky. And we'll cut again. Fawn, your turn. What do we see? What does Fawn see? What is the dream or an image that recurs to Fawn?
So Fawn is kind of little kid Fawn, like 5 or 6, and she's with her sister Ariana, running through like a field chasing butterflies, and Ariana can fly with the butterflies.
So you see Ariana flying about?
Yep.
Okay. So you see her kind of flying about, and you're still on the ground, and she just kind of keeps going up further and further into the sky, and further into the sky, until like clouds begin to just cover the entirety of the sky, to the point where she disappears into them. You just can't see her anymore. You hear what sounds like this strange, like ringing of a bell, like a ding, 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 ding. And you look around and you can see like completely shouldn't be there. The most strange, analogous image you could see to this beautiful little pasture with these butterflies flying around. You see a somewhat heavy-set man with a little folded paper cap and an apron, and he's pushing through this large meadow, what looks like a giant, not even a giant, just a normal size cotton candy push cart. And you can see all these colorful different bits of cotton candy, pink and blue, and pink and blue. You can see that like when you look up in the sky, there's like all these different kites that are moving around. Now, one of them, the shape of a dragon, you see a flag kind of moving about, almost like it's you missed the plane that has been carrying it, like one of those message planes, and you just see this long black banner with these 3 kind of wave-like symbols in red, and then we go to black with you. And then Album. What do we see with Album?
So Album is about 7 years old, and he's laying on a playground carousel at night, peering up into the night sky. and just drawing shapes in the stars while his brother kind of pushes him in circles or pushes the carousel around.
Nice. So it's just spinning around and spinning around. And at one point, as you're like looking up at the sky, you're kind of tracking constellations and like drawing lines with your fingers or something like that. You notice that you start to draw like what looks like a line from one place in like the Orion constellation to another, but you can't find the star. It's just not there. You're like, there's no bright. You're looking, you're squinting, and you realize that the star is there, but it's just like this glowing, flickering black star. It's like a flickering, reflective black version of the star. And then you start seeing all of the stars around just start to pop out. Every one of them like just starts to fade away from like that white light that they're shining, and all of them just becomes this glistening black light, every single one of them. And we'll go ahead, go the black once more. And then when we come back, water still lapping, all of you begin to awake one by one because you've been having that dream. Who knows for how long? It's a dream, right? That's what's been going through your minds for who knows how long. You look around and you are on a rocky shore, and you can see that the source of that lapping water is a windswept lake, a handful of feet away from each of you. You're within relative proximity of each other. You have no clear memory of how you got here, which isn't to say you remember the Broadal Bin, the Whisper Labyrinth, but how you made it here, no clue. You look around and it's just kind of rocky emptiness. You're not really sure exactly how you made it here. You look up, you can see the sky is very dark. There's a thin web of clouds. You notice that there's not one, but two moons. An album, you're probably the first to recognize that there are these several strangely luminescent black stars that are hanging in the sky. And all of you are within a few steps of each other, but Vessel and Fawn seem to be a little bit further up the shore. Each of you has got something in your hands. Album, you look down and like, as you do so, you hear the sounds of something kind of crunching on the shore, and you can see a bottle is just sort of rolling a few feet away from you. It's the J.C. Lynch bottle that all of you at some point had pushed like a lever. Others kind of carrying whatever it was you might have been carrying in the Hotel Broadal Bin at the time. Fawn, you notice like in your hand there's like this dried, it looks like dead butterfly. But as you look at it, it begins to kind of flutter into life and just flies away. Right? And you look up and you can see there's like 3 or 4 of them. They just sort of like manifest, poof, 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 and then they fly off. Vessel, like you start to wake up. You're furthest up the shore. You're ahead of everybody. You look back. Fawn's like just a couple feet behind you, and you can see that Chelsea and Album are maybe 10, 15 feet away, a little closer to that lapping water. All of you have no memory whatsoever of how you arrived. You recognize each other. You remember the Hotel Broadal Bin and everything else that's happened, but there's a gap, and you have this. There's like a feeling of dread and melancholy to this place. Like it's just saturated in it. You can feel like almost like a humidity is weighing down. What do you guys do?
Album will speak out to the group. Anybody know how we got here?
As he says that, the words come out just fine. Like you hear him, you understand him, but like there's a flatness to it. Like there's like as if all of the words were spoken without any sense of urgency or affectation. Everything just kind of comes out the way kind of a flat soda devoid of like carbonation would. Just this strange, almost monotone like sound.
So Fawn's gonna talk out loud, kind of just to see how it sounds, and just sort of say, "I don't know how we got here," and see if it sounds
Same thing.
similarly distorted.
Yeah.
And I don't know where here is.
Well, judging on how we have 2 moons in the sky and the stars look nothing like our stars, I think it's safe to say we're not. I mean, we're in a completely different part of space, at minimum.
Maybe we finally found Carcosa.
And I say I have like a deja vu feeling that I've been here because of.
Yeah, you start to look around the horizon vessel, and you can see that there's ruins everywhere surrounding the lake. Ruins of what probably once was some kind of towering city, right? You can see what looks like were once large buildings, like ancient, bizarre architecture. Is sort of the lingering bits look weird, familiar, modern in some ways, but ultimately off, you know? And especially as you're a little further up the shore than everybody else, you can see that on the sides of the walls here and there's bullet holes, explosive residue. You see collapsed walls, roofs, and you can see that there's cobblestone streets that are kind of overrun with what looks like dust or dirt or debris. You can see that there's like these hundreds of long ancient boats that are spread out around the shore of the lake. But it's as you start to look around that 2 things. First, you get this sense, Vessel, that you're being watched. That feeling, like the hairs start to stand in the back of your head. But you also do recognize the horizon. Not so much that you've been here, but now that you start to sit up and look and digest what you're seeing, the city ruins, the lake, this looks very much like the cardboard city you found in the Samogina household, in Henry Samogina's bedroom. Fawn, as you sit up and look around, you get the same feeling because you saw it as well.
Okay, so it looks like the model that we saw, not like the postcard that we had seen.
Yeah, the postcard. Let's see, who saw? I know Album looked at the postcard for a bit. Those were more intact, if you recall. The postcard was actually an intact city. This is a kind of a ruined city, possibly. Possibly this. What you saw on the postcard was the before, and this is the after.
Right,
You're not sure exactly, but yeah.
So what is on the shore with us? So like if we're looking across the lake and that's what we see is kind of the ruins and all of that, what's behind us on kind of the rocky shoreline that we're on?
So yeah, like the shoreline spreads out and you can see that there's boats, like these kind of these long ancient boats of some kind. And then there's the city itself, the ruins of the city, and then there's a lake, this kind of lazy, windswept, very slight current. As you're all kind of taking it in, almost like a shot comes into each one of your minds, like you kind of start to piece together from what you're seeing. Fawn mentioning Carcosa. I think all of you to some degree probably feel that that's not an inaccurate statement. Each one of you you feel knowledge, like maybe it was hidden, maybe it was in the back of your mind. You're not sure when you learned it, but it's in your head and you don't quite know how. I'm going to share with each of you something. So go over into the evidence and handouts section of the journal. Look for P4, part 4, and I'm going to be sharing something with each one of you. There's both an image and then I put like a translation of the image in text. So give it a second. So I think, and then Vessel, you're the last one. Okay, all of you should have access to a handout now.
You see text.
Yes, there's text, but you at the top of the window, there's like an image. You can tap on that, and you can see an image, and you can switch back to text. It's just the image. It's hard to read the text. So, but that's what just is in your head as you look around. You take everything in. You take the lake, the shore, the ruins of the city, the sky, everything. And that like seems to tap into some reservoir of information. And again, you don't remember if you got this. Did someone tell you this? Did you read this in a book? You're not sure, but each of you feel confident that once that the word Carcosa was mentioned, all of you, that information floods into your brain.
So Fawn's just gonna sort of say like, "Oh, right, that's." And she's pointing at the water, and she's gonna say, "Oh, right, that's Holly. That's the name of the lake."
Now that you mention it, I recognize it as well.
Both of you specifically remember the Cardboard City had a lake. Like there was a chunk of lake as well.
And so Fawn will just sort of discuss that with Vessel, that like this is what the kid made. It's what he saw.
And apparently, this place is consuming this city. Etil.
I think what you mean is that Carcosa itself absorbs other places and times. Like, think of it as like a parasite. Perhaps it needs it to survive or grow or even just exist.
Well, I wonder what happens to people that come here. Do we get absorbed too?
We've been here before. Have we? Maybe we've never left.
When
What do you mean?
And like Chelsea's just like, you didn't dream of this?
No, I've seen pictures. Vestal, I think, ate a bug and told us about some things, but I don't. Apart from vague familiarity, I've never been here.
I mean, now that you say it's a dream, it kind of sounds familiar as a dream, but not like to be here.
I've always been a vivid dreamer.
Could
It almost feels like I'm home.
Well, I don't know about that. This place feels like the opposite of the dining hall in Broadalbin. It feels bad here. I don't know a better word to describe the feeling.
That whole idea, like looking around,
Mm-hmm.
seeing everything, like all of you, that what Album says isn't necessarily untrue. Like there is this sort of feeling, like it's almost palpable, really, like of sadness, melancholy, even dread. There's something about this place, the twinkling black stars, the two moons, the almost too still lake, the ruins of some city that suffered explosions and bullets, and all of it just, and then the weird flatness of each of your words as they almost seem forced out of your mouths. Everything just feels off, strange, like something bad might happen, like the moments before like a heavy thunderstorm sweeping in. There's just like an anxiety building up.
Is it similar to when I was in the apartment and the King of Yellow was coming through the window? Is it similar to that dread that I had?
That one was even more intense, probably. This one's more of a sort of a slow, a more mild simmer, whereas
Just
that
like an
was a raging
anxiety.
boil.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Chelsea would like to, since there's ruins and stuff, if there's some that's not too far away with writing, I want to see if I can recognize it as Tartessian or not.
Okay, so Chelsea, you get up, you start moving your way up the shore. You notice as you get up that, like, you look down at your hands. You don't even remember how it got here, but there's this chain that was just sort of wrapped around, like, very loosely your wrist. And you see it kind of pulling off a few feet away and then dipping into the rocky shore.
Oh, then I will follow the chain.
Okay. So you start moving up the shore and you realize something's buried. Like the chain goes into the dirt, into the sand. It's like rocky sand.
Mm-hmm. Is there like a larger rock I can use to help scoop at the dirt?
Yeah. You start scooping and scooping and you pull the chain, and after a minute or so you pull out what looks like an old beaten tire attached to the chain.
Oh, that's gonna freak me out.
You flip it over and look at it a little bit, and you notice that, you know how certain tires have like Michelin or Goodyear?
Mm-hmm.
You see what almost looks like a strange script, like it should be the logo or the label, and you realize that you can read it, and it is very much Tartessian. Like others, like when you look at it, almost looks Russian in some ways, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, an alphabet, totally different, and much like you were hoping to find on something. There it is. This tire made by some company. Doesn't make sense to you. Don't recognize the name, but you recognize the script, the language. It's beaten up. It's old.
She's chained to it, like
It's just loosely wrapped around her arm. She can easily unwrap it.
Album will look at Chelsea and say, oh wait, I gotta speak with a flat affect. Are you recreating the Christmas Carol? Is this the chain that you forged in life, Chelsea?
No, but I was dreaming of a happy memory of me and my sister and the tire swing in my grandmother's backyard.
You know, it's interesting that a place that survives by absorbing other places took something that you were dreaming of, and then recognizing, we'll look down and see if he's holding anything.
Like in your hand, you had, like, you remember when you first were getting up, you had a bottle in your hand. You look down a few feet away, and you can see that kind of ornate bottle of J.C. Lynn's on the ground. You do notice what looks like a small bell, like a little, like, absent of a clapper, and what looks like a broken, like it was attached to something else. You think back to your dream and like the carousel of the different animals, the horses, and some of them have kind of underneath their bridle this little bell that would ding 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 as it went around.
It appears it took something from mine as well.
I also had butterflies in my hand when I awoke, and that was part of my dream. They animated and then flew away. Vessel, what about you?
You clear over at Vessel as he's kind of standing up. He's scanning the horizon, looking at all those boats on the shore just a few feet away, and he realizes he's wearing what looks like pajama pants, like this flannel, very comfortable looking pajama pants.
I was getting ready for bed.
I mean, you were getting ready for bed in your dream?
Yeah.
What's on the pajama pants?
It's just like a green and blue and black flannel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was hoping for some like superhero 11-year-old pajama pants.
I guess that's kind of up to Long. Vessel, while you're scanning, you do occasionally see like a strange shadow just flicker. It's very dark here. You do get some light, but it's from the moons and everything. But you do see shadows of like random faces and things like that, like in the ruins off to the side, off up the slope.
You guys feel like we're being watched?
I hadn't particularly noticed.
I just have that strange feeling. But I want to make my way towards the rune.
Okay. So you, Chelsea, you had started to go up there. Do you want to go with him?
Yeah, I'll go with Vessel.
Do you leave the chain and the tire behind?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll say that anything you guys had on your persons when you were wandering through the Whisper Labyrinth, you still have. So if like you had anything in pockets, if you had a holster with a gun, that kind of stuff, you still have it. In terms of like wholesale, I know you guys had like set some stuff in your rooms and things like that in the brothel bin, and then remember that when you left the Boxer Hotel, you didn't bring all your evidence and stuff with you. So we'll say you still have some things on you. So just keep that in mind. Like, and then if there's ever a question of whether you might have had it, we can decide on that together. But I'm perfectly fine with saying you guys were wandering the Whisper Labyrinth with either a gun or a knife or whatever. Like, that's fine. As long as it's like a handgun. Like, none of you were carrying like big old assault rifle.
Yeah.
I keep this in my pajama pants.
Fawn only ever really has like her pepper spray and a mag light. So
Sure. That's fine. So yeah, you would still have those things, sticking out of a pocket or laying in the dirt near you, something like that. Vessel, Chelsea, you start moving up the slope, climb over top of it. You stare at the ruins. You see a couple cobblestone streets in between these ruined buildings here and there. You start looking around. Album, Fawn, what are you two doing?
Fawn's just gonna Fawn's just gonna say to Album, I really feel like, we should check out while we're here, but we need to go that way. Like we need to keep moving forward.
Which way?
Well, we came from that way, so that doesn't really seem like the way through. Like it seems like we need to be going that way.
In the same direction as Chelsea and Vessel?
Like the boats.
Oh. Yeah. While Fawn is talking to Album, he's gonna peer into the lake. Is this like jet black water that's like, or is this like, turquoise or?
Yeah, if you
somewhat
look at the
opaque?
water, it's black, definitely. It's still, it's clear. It's very silent. Looking across the lake, you can't really see the other shore. It's just like mist and night. So it's basically invisible. You can't really see any lights or anything across the lake, except for the moons, obviously, and the black stars. But as you're, we'll say you're a couple steps from the edge of the lake, you do notice that there are, beneath the water, a couple pinpoints of light here and there, far below the surface, but they're very clear to see now that you're here and close and looking. But they seem fairly far off below the surface.
Hey, Fawn, remember that myth about the sirens? Is this like some kind of siren-like thing? What's this light coming through the bottom of the lake?
Do I see lights at the bottom of the lake when I look?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and roll, both of you can do this, both of you roll in times 5.
Ooh, we're rolling.
Yeah.
I have broken the seal.
Okay. Well done,
92
Album.
for you, 26 for me.
So yeah, you turn to Fawn. She comes up. She takes a look as well, and it makes sense actually that Fawn would be able to put this together and you wouldn't, Album, because as you're looking, Fawn, you realize that there are basically the lights below the lake. There are these far off lights, and it looks like a city, like avenues laid out like spokes in a wheel. It's maybe about 50 meters or so below the water, And as you're looking at it, you realize you look down at the lights, you look up at the ruins, down at the lights, and you swear between what you've seen in the ruins, what you remember of the cardboard city, that below the water looks like a still standing version of the very city, the ruins that are around you and that you recall from the cardboard city.
I've seen this before when we went to the Samagina house, and the boy had that model that he had built. That under there is that over there. It's the same place.
Okay. Do you think the one below the surface is the true city, or the one around us is the true city? Everything seems to be tied up in riddles and mystery.
Well, and Fawn will look across, and I assume there's no lights across.
No, you can't see anything across on the other side of the lake. Like, it's just mist and night and everything.
Well, that one's in ruins, and that one's got the lights on. So, I mean, that could be the real one, but there's something under there too.
I just remember you had the poem from The Clockwork Child, right?
Yes.
And it was, I think part of the line said the city, the lake, its shadow.
That's true. So this...
Well, the next line after that is the battle. So, I guess we fight our way below the surface. I'm keeping my tone very flat.
You don't have to do that.
I like it though. I think it's funny.
All right. So why you two are
it does
down?
say the city, the lake,
Yeah.
and its shadow. So which do we think is the shadow?
I'm not sure. Let's just catch up with the others, and we can let them know what we saw and put our heads together.
Because meanwhile, while this was happening, Chelsea, Vessel, you had already gone up to the city. You guys are up here. You're on cobblestone streets. You look around. You can see there are ruins, certainly. As you're up here, like as you're, you look down the street, or Vessel, you try to hone in on one of those shadows. Chelsea, you're looking for posters, papers, anything that might have like that Tartessian, like you were saying before, and you do see some. You do see what looks like these various posters or images, either crumpled up in piles of debris or hanging on the wall. But you notice, both of you, that as you focus on one thing, Vessel at a distant shadow in a window, Chelsea, you pick up a crumpled paper on the ground. You start to unfurl it. Out of the corners of your eyes, different buildings across the street begin to flicker. You look over and you see that the building that had been in your periphery, which was only a single story, was missing its roof, is now 2 stories tall, and the roof is intact. Off to the other side, a 4-story building missing its western wall is now a 1-story. It's missing its front wall. You focus on those, and it happens again, flickering on the edges of your vision. You look, and you swear the shape, the condition, the size of the building that you just saw a second ago is now changed. Others that you saw a moment ago aren't even there anymore.
Did you see that, Chelsea?
Yeah, unfortunately. Maybe this isn't where we should be heading.
Why not? We should check it out. It's changing.
But that one disappeared. What if we go in one and it takes us with it?
We've been traveling to weird places, through buildings this entire time. What changes?
I guess, I don't know. Me and Doris, Vessel, you know.
I'd like to head to one of the buildings that are changing.
Okay. Yeah, you go over towards one of them. When you're focusing on it, you're walking towards it, you see in one of the windows that still exists, there's the shape of a person, like a shadow. And the building doesn't seem to flicker anymore. But now that you're focusing on this one, a different one, far off to the left, you swear there's just like a tiny little flicker. You look over just ever so briefly, and just it's like when you're not focusing on it, it seems to sometimes demonstrate some mutability. But yeah, you wander down maybe a half a mile away from the shore at this point, and you're near the edge of what looks like a 2-story building with a half of a roof. And you can see on the second floor window there's a shadow looking down right out of the window, shaped like a human.
Is anyone there?
No response.
See if I can make my way in.
Okay. Yeah. Part of the wall has been ripped down. You make your way in. You can see that there's a staircase that's been long destroyed, but you can probably climb it. Go ahead and roll a strength test. Strength times 5. Or athletics if you prefer.
Success.
2 is fine. Yeah, you're able to kind of reach up, grab what looks like the edge of one of the stairs, and you kind of pull yourself up like a pull-up and climb your way up. You get into this hallway. There's this tile, like an old, almost orange-brown tile. You can see there's some kind of... A few of the tiles are decorative here and there. You wander down the hall into the room that you think is correct. And when you go inside, you see that what had been a shadow is just looks like a sack or 2 or 3, like all stacked up together. These old sacks of something.
I can see Chelsea up there.
Yeah, you peek out and there she is in the street. She's got
Yeah,
that.
I'm
Keeps
keeping
her eye on
an eye on
you.
it.
She's got the poster or whatever it is in her hand.
Oh, see, there's nothing here, so I'll just make my way up.
Okay. You work your way back down.
You didn't
Album
see what's
and-
in the sacks?
Oh, that's up to you guys.
I'll kick it around, yeah.
Yeah, you kick it around. I mean, it's got a little weight to it, whatever it might be. I mean, they just look like old, rough spun. Could be flour, could be weed. You're not sure.
Yeah, it's probably not what I'm looking for, so...
What's that?
That's probably not what I'm looking for, so I'll just leave it alone.
What are you looking for?
My bottle.
Oh. Okay. Kick it around some more. It doesn't sound glassy or anything. No.
No glass breaks.
No. You start working your way back down, and as you get into the hallway, you see maybe about 10 feet down the hall, just on the edge of your vision, there was some sort of, like, it looks different than when you first came up. Like there's a room at the end of that hallway. As you look, you peer, you see like light kind of reflecting, glinting off something on a shelf.
I'll investigate.
Yeah, you move down and you enter what looks like some kind of lounge. See an old chair, busted and broken, torn up. A couch that's been like turned upside down, like almost like a barricade in the middle of the hall. Not in the hall, but I should say in front of the door. You see what looks like some kind of shelf in a bar. And you see all sorts of empty bottles everywhere on the wall and on the ground.
Start reading the bottles.
Yeah, you start going through them, and you do not know what language this is. Some of them are empty. You do find one or two that are not, that you can feel that they've got something in them sloshing around inside. They're dusty and dirty and old. The labels are peeling here and there.
I don't think I've drinking anything in a while.
You do feel very thirsty, though, now that you mention it.
I'll see if I can get this open and take a swig.
Okay. Yeah. You look around, and you can see that right on top of the bar, corkscrew sitting right there. Not sure if it was there when you first got here, but it's there now. So you're able to pop it open, and it smells like wine. It smells a little off. Soured, maybe.
Maybe just a sip.
Okay.
You're a bar owner, right? You know when something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay, go ahead and roll. What's it called? Con times 5.
He is thirsty though, so give him that.
Okay.
Success.
It is definitely off. This is no longer good. Tastes very sour, almost vinegary, in fact. But you down it. You were very thirsty. Very, very thirsty all of a sudden. There's the dust of the ruins. You're not sure. But now, yeah, you take a couple swigs, wince a bit as the vinegar goes down your throat.
You. True to form, though. He will eat or drink anything.
I'll take my leave.
Okay. Album and Fawn, you're moving into the ruins to sort of chase them down.
Real quick, as they're walking away from the lake, how big are the boats that are in the water?
They're not in the water. They're along the shore. And they are fairly big. When you take a look at them, there's quite a few. There's actually, as far as the eye can see, there's like hundreds of them maybe. But yeah, each is about maybe 10 meters long or so. Like they look like they've all been cut from these like really broad trunks of trees. It could probably fit about 20 people. When you get kind of close to one, you can see that each has some kind of unique carving in it. One of them's like a giant snake with scales, and others an eagle with wings, a sleeping dog, etc.
I'm picturing sort of old, like, Viking boat, kind of.
Yeah, they kind of look like that, yeah.
Hey, Fawn.
Yeah.
You ever see that movie Pirates of the Caribbean? Do you think that we have to flip our ship upside down so that we're in the image of the city under the water?
You know, if anyone else heard you say that, they'd think you were kind of batshit. But that, in terms of hypotheses, I actually think that is a pretty decent one.
Thanks. It's just something I thought of.
Is there any sort of pattern that I can deduce from the different like the carvings?
No, they all, just a different design here or there. A lot of them seem animalistic in some way.
I'm not really looking forward to being upside down in the water, underwater.
You do notice, by the way, there's no sails, no paddles, no ropes, nothing like that. No poles to push them or anything. And there's also, they're not like secured anywhere. They're just sitting freely.
Does it seem like 4 people could move one of them, or like you would need like 20 people to move it?
I mean, they're pretty big. I mean,
I'm gonna do the little hip check thing just to see if this is like going anywhere. If like 4 of me could move this thing.
yeah, you go up and you hip check it, and it moves very easily.
Oh, this is. Come here. Like, look at this. Is way lighter than it looks.
I guess Album with his 7 strength will.
Yeah.
Same thing, actually. You go to push it, and it's like it moves very easily, very light. It's despite the size, these things are like 30 feet long, and how these look like carved out of tree trunks. They move very, very easily, very lightly.
Well, so long as everyone can hold their breath for more than 30 seconds, we could just take 4 people and rock back and forth until we capsize or upsize, depending. But seems like it's 2 sides of the same coin with this city. Do you want to be the one to break the news to them? Or should
let's see what they're doing up there.
All right.
Okay. Back in the ruins. On the cobblestone streets, Vessel, you've just come down. Chelsea, you're there. What are you two doing?
When she sees that he comes out fine, Chelsea will pick a different house to kind of like peek in herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of thinking on what she heard about her bottle, and then also about like the girl in blue in the dance. Just as she goes through this house and investigates it.
Yeah, you head into the building. Single story, modest size, crumbling wall out front. You push your way in through what looked like a heavy wood door, probably lacquered one day, but it's worn, dusty, a little bit off its hinges. Kind of move around inside. Rafters have fallen here and there. Some furniture is hollowed out. You do notice like a tipped over armoire on the ground, and you can see like it's mostly empty as one of the doors is on the ground, separated from it, split. But you do notice there's one piece of clothing inside, and it's just this draped blue dress.
So she'll grab it and she'll hold it and she'll think a little bit. And just for like shits and giggles, she's gonna like wish for a door to where she needs to go and think on that for a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, so you sit around and kind of hold on to it, you wish, and then inspiration doesn't strike you or anything like that.
Okay.
You turn around to go outside, and you do notice in the wall off to your right, as you turn around, I think you see a door that wasn't there before.
She'll go check it out.
Yeah, you open the door, and it opens up smoothly, swings wide. It's the side of the house, and you can see it has a full and unopposed view of the lake off in the horizon there, about a half mile away.
She will go through the door.
Okay, you're out in the alleyway.
But I'm not by the lake.
No, it's like you can see it's like a half a mile away.
Oh, okay.
It's not like a portal or anything like that.
Got it. Okay. Delta Greens messed me up a little bit. Chelsea will kind of like go around for and try and find Vessel.
Yeah, I mean Vessel's outside in the street as well. Sure.
And she'll be like, so I was thinking about the girl in blue, and I found a blue dress in an armoire, and then I was thinking like about where I need to go, and then a door opened and like I could see the lake. Did you anything weird? Were you thinking about anything when you were in the houses?
Yeah, I thought about how thirsty I was, and I got really thirsty.
Did you find anything?
I was looking for some bottles, and bottles did show up.
Okay.
So what you're saying is, we gotta go to the lake.
Yeah, I think. Probably.
Well, there's not much here, so maybe we should go diving.
Yeah, but we don't have diving gear.
We'll just.
Can we say Album and I have reached the top by now?
Sure, yeah. You guys are on the road and the cobblestones. Just getting that same kind of peripheral vision effect thing going on when you're not focusing on the specific building. You look off and you can see it just sort of. You swear it changes slightly, or it's not there anymore, or it suddenly is there, and a lot that you thought was empty. Can't tell if your mind's just playing tricks on you, if it's a trick of the light. Hard to say.
What is going on up here?
When you guys walk up, that's when you hear Chelsea saying, "We don't have diving gear." And then she pauses and she looks at Vessel, and she's going to go into a different house and thinking about finding diving gear.
Okay.
Vessel, what is she doing?
It's strange going on here. Buildings are warping. Objects appearing out of nowhere.
Maybe they're just simply in two states at once.
And do the buildings here look anything like what the buildings across the lake would look like if they were built and not ruined?
I don't understand what you're saying across the lake. You don't see anything across the lake. Across the lake was mist and darkness. When you were seeing the city, it was beneath the lake.
Okay.
Chelsea, you walk through the door. You open the door of the next, and all of a sudden, it's as if 100 doors just open in close succession of one another. You feel a sense of intense vertigo as your eyes see what looks like a hallway that are thousands and thousands of miles long. You see shifts and blends of doors and walls. The walls begin to kind of cave in. It's this fractal feedback loop. The perspective suddenly shifts. You feel like you're on the verge of falling down this long sloping hallway. You reach out, you grab the sides of the door that you nearly fall down and quickly slam the door. Roll a sand test.
Yep, okay.
Oh gosh.
Failure.
Roll a d4.
2.
Lose 2 points of sanity from the unnatural.
Okay. Chelsea will kind of fall back and kind of land on her butt, and she'll just kind of like hold her head and be like, "Oh my god, okay."
Guys, stop playing with the superposition buildings. We have a boat to flip.
Did somebody tell Fawn about the whole like wishing for something and it appears?
It would have been Vessel. I was.
Yeah, I can relay what Chelsea told me.
So hearing that, Fawn wants to go into a nearby building.
Okay, no problem.
And she wants to wish that she could see her sister. See and talk to her sister.
Okay.
What you wish for.
You step into a room away from everyone else. The door slams behind you, and then you just hear a cacophony of slam, 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 like it's echoing and echoing, getting louder and louder. You look on the ground in front of you, you see this antique gramophone record player, and you feel like all of the sound is suddenly echoing and just firing out at you like a weapon, like a bullet from a gun. Just from there, your face begins to burn. You feel the skin start to ripple from the sound waves, the vibrations. You feel like you're gonna throw up, like you're gonna vomit, and suddenly you're thrown and burst out of the wall. You guys, all of you outside, you can see this crumbling old brick wall just erupt as Fawn goes stumbling down and rolling on the ground. She gets up. You're seemingly fine. The wall itself was pretty much crumbled and dead already. You have just an absolute utter headache. Roll sand, please, Fawn.
Oh.
Roll d4.
No. One.
Take 1 point of sand loss.
I don't understand. You wished for a bottle and you got a bottle. You wished for a door and you got a door. And what?
I don't think we have any
Awful.
control in this place. I think they're just fun houses. Except it's not just tricks and mirrors.
Fawn wants to go back inside
Sure.
and try something mundane. So
Album's gonna call after her and say, "You're gonna run out of soft walls to get blasted through, Fawn."
yeah, just one more time. Just one more. Maybe that was too much.
You do remember that you're almost 60, right? Your spine can't take that much pressure.
Yeah, I know. I'm an old lady. Whatever.
You didn't really feel any pain. It felt more like you were just getting sort of moved roughly. Like someone was dragging you almost. So you go inside. You said you were doing something mundane. What do you mean?
I will wish that I had an apple to eat.
Okay. So go inside, you see a series of cabinets and start kind of going through them. And when you open one, you suddenly feel the gravity of the room shift as when the door opens, it's like you're 300 feet in the sky looking down on the ruins below. You can see your friends moving about in front of the building that you just went in, and you feel yourself falling, and then suddenly the gravity shifts. You feel yourself slap to the ground inside of the room, bang your head against one of the doors. Roll a d4. Or excuse me, roll sanity. Roll sand.
Success. 2.
Take 1 point of sand loss.
Yeah. Never mind.
Actually, just you don't even have to roll the test. Just roll a d4. Two points of sand loss. Sorry.
Well. So she'll get up
Suddenly
and dust
everything's
herself
fine.
off.
Yeah, you look back in the cabinet. You find what looks like rotten and old food that's long spoiled, long dried out. Rats or something got to it. You're not sure exactly what it might have been. Canisters, mason jars of things, rotten, cracked.
No apple cores.
No apple cores.
So Fawn will go back outside and well, that was something. That was something. I wouldn't recommend trying that.
I had no intention. We got a boat to flip.
Did you see me the whole time?
I saw a building.
Okay. Because it seemed as if I were 300 feet in the air.
Well, you did fly out of a wall.
Falling. No, this last time.
Right.
After that.
Seeing you fly out of a wall and survive, I'm saying I believe you could probably be 300 feet in the air, but I didn't see anything. But I was looking at the building, waiting for you to fly out of another wall.
Well, other horrors awaited me this time. Falling from great heights. And I didn't get the apple either. So, big request, small request. Doesn't seem to work for me.
I think it's more that we don't have control over this place. I think something's either consciously messing with us, or it's messing, or it was just the most insane amount of coincidence.
Have we had control any time in the last 20 years?
That is an excellent question. We're about to control this boat underwater.
All right, let's gather the others, Album. Like your plan to get into the city.
Okay. Ashley, were you going to say something?
Chelsea was just going to be boat under the water.
They look really heavy, but they're not.
Cage goes in the water.
Maybe that's how
Chalk
we
goes
get.
in the water.
Did we test the water? Did you guys test the water at all while you were down there?
Sounds like water and it looks like water. I don't think either of us touched it though.
We didn't. But we're looking for either the shadow of a lake or the shadow of the city.
Yeah, we saw some lights coming from the bottom of the lake. It's probably about 150 feet down. You ever seen that movie Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah.
Well, there were some boats over on the shore, and so thinking of the poem just sparked something. Must have been a
Sparked
movie
a-
I watched, just
reminded you of pirates.
yeah, we're gonna flip this and see if it's just two sides of the same coin. It makes more sense than going into these rooms that turn into other things.
I mean,
As
Maybe
strange
feels-
as that sounds.
another door. Doors have gotten us this far. But Chelsea will start heading because she does want to like check out the water a little bit.
Okay.
So she'll
All
head
of-
back down.
All of you head back down, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You head back down. It's in the same condition as you left it. You do... I mean, like, they show you the boats. Same thing. Very light, easy to move, very big. Can fit probably 20 people. No paddles, nothing to control it with or anything. And when you look at the, a couple feet away, you look at the lake and you can see it's dark. But you can see those lights now that they pointed out to you. So you guys are back on the shore. What do you want to do?
Album
Comments
wants to
Operation
stick
Pirate?
his... Well, first he wants to stick his hand in the water and see if it feels like water.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys all watch as Album reaches his hand down, touches the lake. And immediately, all of you watch as mist begins to rise from the surface. First slowly, then quickly. More and more. Just steam or fog or mist. It's not warm or hot. It's not burning your hand, but it's just more and more. The volume is just growing and growing. Album, you're the closest to it. You see the water. It's not so much sitting below the mist as being replaced by it. And it takes a couple minutes, but after that couple minutes, as you sort of step back, when you look out, the water is gone. And all you see is mist. A lake of mist. All of you go ahead and roll sand.
Oh my gosh.
Guys, we don't need to flip the boat anymore.
We touched it before we pushed a boat onto it.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Everybody failed.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
One point of sand for everybody.
Okay.
That was a lot easier.
But now that 150 feet down is just straight 150 feet down.
We could
I mean,
we could snow sled it with one of these boats and just slide. It's got to be a gradual, it's not going to just drop off, hopefully.
Fawn is curious, actually, what does happen in pushing the boat onto what was the water? Like, do they float?
Yeah.
Or do they look like
You
they're
start
gonna get on the
pushing-
side?
You start dragging the boat down the shore. You push it onto the mist. And it does seem to float on the mist.
Oh, this would be revolutionary back in our world.
It's an airboat.
An airship? No. Yeah, you're right. Airboat. Well, do we walk down into the lake and hope it doesn't turn back into water?
I want to take one of these for a ride. I mean, there's a bunch of them here.
We
how
have
do
nothing to
get down
control
the
with.
city?
Well, the water's gone, so we walk.
No, I mean if we went in the boat.
Oh. I think a bigger question is how would we control it if we have no paddles?
That's true.
And don't say you're going to go back into the house and wish for paddles. It has
No,
not
I'm
worked.
not.
Okay. I'm not either.
No, but that should have been my second request. That would have been smart. More useful than an apple. Not that I got it, but still.
Album is going to walk into the mist to chest level and see if he notices anything or if he slips on his ass.
All of you watch as Album walks out into the mist, and all of you see him disappear. Drops down. Album, you begin falling. Make a swim test. As you
I was great at these in the hotel.
flailing about, trying to keep the buoyancy, your own buoyancy, on top of the mist, and you are struggling to do so.
All right, let her just swim. Start with, there you go.
You start to flail about a bit, and you can feel yourself sinking and sinking. You can see the vague of the lights getting closer and closer, and you notice as well that you are not alone. You see and sense these massive creatures flying about in the fog. Enormous creatures. Roll a luck test.
Oh gosh.
77.
You look off to one side and you can see this large darkness coming at you, and you realize it is an open mouth of what looks like something the size of a massive whale. You need a roll. You can choose dodge or swim.
Oh, dodge has got to be better than swim.
Yeah, I've got a 33 in dodge, but it's still not great. I get into my ram. I fail.
Okay. You
I shouldn't
manage,
laugh. Bad things are going to happen.
as you flail away to try to dodge the mouth, you do. But then this massive tail flips around, almost like it's whipping towards you. You can see the mist kind of parting in the way. One second. You can feel it smash against you. You take 10 points of damage.
Oh, well, then my HP is 0.
Oh no.
What are the rest of you doing?
Jeez.
You don't see any of that, right?
No.
No,
The
we just
last
saw
thing
him
you saw is
disappear.
him disappear. So do your best to play it like you didn't experience that.
So this isn't like a lake that tapered off. This is like a well that just went straight down.
Pretty much.
Oh, I didn't know
You
that.
said you wanted to go to waist deep. So if you would have just gone like ankle deep, then we could talk, but going waist deep is enough to start falling. Rest of you.
Juan's
I'm
going to
gonna-
get in the boat and see what happens.
Yeah, you get in the boat and it continues to hover on top of the misty fog. No problem.
I'll follow behind him, see if I can find him.
You're going to do what exactly?
Follow behind where Album went, see if I can find him.
So you're going to
Also
wander
do-
in? Okay,
Yeah.
so you're going to you follow his footsteps. You get waist deep, and then you begin to thrash and fly around. Go ahead and roll a swim test.
What is happening?
Success.
Okay. You feel yourself as if you're gonna drown. Like you feel yourself falling and you're like grasping literally onto mist and cloud, whatever you can do not to fall. You look down and you can see 150 feet below you. There are lights. If you fall from this height, bad things, man. What do you do?
See if I can
You're a few feet away from falling in the boat.
see if I can swim towards that or back to where I can.
You can, I'll say you could probably reach out to the boat that Fawn is in.
Yeah, can I help him? Because I took the boat out first, so I would
Okay.
have tried to be in his vicinity.
That's
if
fine
I
with me if it's okay with Vessel.
Try to give you a hand up.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, you grab the side of the boat and Fawn pulls you into it. And the two of you are now floating in this boat on top of this misty lake.
If that's where Album went, he's way down there now.
It's mist all the way down.
As far as I can see.
As far as you can see, yeah.
Oh god.
You still saw those lights down below, like occasionally as the mist shifts around.
Chelsea's still on the beach. Like she went back and got her tire and her chain.
Okay. Throw us the chain, and we can like bring you along like an inner tube.
I don't know necessarily if I want to do that.
I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying, like, if the boat is floating, the tire might float like an inner tube, and then you can get over to the boat with us.
I don't know. Is there anything else though on the beach? Like
Other
any-
than what I've described, there's rocks and stuff like that, and there's the boats, and that's about it. Yeah.
Okay. One of the other boats that they're not in, is there like a piece of like hunk of wood I could rip off that we could use as like a makeshift paddle?
No, these things are like tree trunks that
Just a
have
solid
been carved
trunk?
out of. Yeah.
Okay.
Like someone
okay.
carved
There's
out
no
of them.
like
They weren't-
mast in the center.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Then yeah, Chelsea will just also get in the boat.
Okay. So 3 of you are in this boat floating on top of a lake of mist.
An album is not.
Seeing if paddling moves us.
Can we actually? So were we close enough to the shore that Chelsea could have brought the tire swing onto the boat?
Yeah, it's fine.
Can we try dropping the tire swing under the boat with the chain and see if maybe it can reach album?
It's not that long of a swing.
Yeah.
You don't
'Cause
actually
I don't
even
know
see
exactly
him.
how far he is, so like
You
I
don't-
would try.
You don't even know where he is anymore. I mean, Vessel, you know that you just you felt it. You felt like you were about to fall to your death. And if not for like struggling and grabbing the side of the boat or something like that. I would have given Album the same opportunity, but he failed his swim test and you passed yours. As Derek has pointed out, really, the underrated skill in this game is swim.
Is swimming?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, with an alertness of 70, I didn't even notice the drop. It just dropped.
Just drop, man. Sorry,
Damn.
buddy.
Can
F.
we can Fawn knot the chain around like an end of the boat, or like is there something that the chain can get knotted around?
Yeah, sure.
Because she wants to try to, as much as Alba made fun of her for being almost 60, she wants to try to swing in the swing connected to the boat and see if she can see where he is, try to attempt a rescue.
Oh,
Okay.
go in the water.
Yeah,
In the
so
mist,
you sure you wrap then around like one of the ends as best you can, and you kind of climb down, and
I'm gonna ask
you're
them
in
to
the
please hold
mist.
on to the chain.
I'm not going to require the swim test because you are holding on to this thing. That's no problem. Go ahead and roll alertness.
Oh, I have album 70 in alertness, although I have gone
Sucks.
from like really low 30s in alertness to like 42 over the course of this because I keep failing it.
Look at
so
you. Look at you. You got this.
I still failed it again.
You do not see any sign of Album. You do, however, see a massive shadow moving about in the lake below you. Like, I mean, you see it move underneath you here and there. It's like the size and almost shape of a whale.
Oh, that's dangerous. Oh gosh.
All right, think about it. Vessel, what were you doing? You said you were doing something. I didn't catch it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to see if I could just hand paddle. That would move this boat.
Okay. You're just trying to kind of like move it out from shore. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you reach your hands in, you start like paddling away. Your paddling doesn't seem to affect the boat at all. No, it does not.
If we're still on shore,
You're close
Maybe I
enough
can-
to it.
maybe I can bust up some of the other boats to make a makeshift paddle. If that does anything.
No, they're like they're pretty sturdy, gigantic tree trunks that have just been like you literally have carved out of it, and you have no tools. So
While we can seemingly push them, they are not breakable. They're of a different. Is it like there's a different gravity? Like if I jump, does it feel different?
I mean, you're underwater and you have no feet on the, or under mist and you have no feet on the ground, so jumping isn't really a thing.
Yeah. Note to self when I get back up to try.
Okay.
Shoot. Can I? So I'll climb back up.
Mm-hmm.
And let it, like, I don't see him, but there's like sea creatures that are really big floating in the mist. Vessel,
Chelsea,
you might want to try going down there. I think you're better at spotting things than I am. I've never been really good at seeing things.
I just followed after him. I didn't see anything.
Damn, Album always goes off by himself. He really doesn't mean to.
Chelsea's just kind of like leaning on like the lip of the boat, like looking down at Carcosa, and just like, I don't know how we're gonna get down there. Vessel said it sounded like, or like he was falling super fast and he was drowning, and like, I don't know what we're gonna do. And she'll turn around and she'll like look at Vessel and Fawn bobbing around in the little tire.
And as like those words come out of your mouth, those thoughts cross your mind, the boat begins to descend into the mist.
I'm gonna run to catch up.
Okay. Yeah, you see it beginning that you run and you're athletic enough, say you can jump and get it as it disappears underneath the horizon of the mist, and it just begins to descend. We'll say, Fawn, you climb up back into the boat.
Eyes peeled for Album.
You can't really see now that you're kind of down here and immersed. You can see the occasional large shadow, and you can see like the blinking, or excuse me, you can see the lights from below, but like visibility is maybe 10 feet out in front of you. And you do occasionally see those massive beasts like drifting here and there around you. As you get about maybe 70, 80 feet down, you see one of these massive whales just shift by you. And they're huge. Like the mouths on them are enormous. They're like 30 meters long. But they generally seem fairly unconcerned with you. They don't really seem to do anything. Like they easily could swallow the boat. Like they're that long. Like it's like it would be like eating a hot dog for them. Oof. And you notice though, in its wake, I'll say Vessel, you see this. You have very high alertness. You see these smaller creatures kind of trailing about, ever shifting, like right on the wake of the whale's tail. You see these, they're winged, you think, manta ray-like almost. These monstrosities of some kind. They're spinning, they're flapping, they're tumbling through the clouds here. They get kind of fairly close to you. They have like these bat-like wings. And as the whale passes and doesn't pay any attention to you all, these two creatures of what looks like a swarm of many shift off in the direction of you and come peeling at you. What are your dex scores? As we're going to dip into some combat here for a minute.
14.
10? Okay.
Yeah,
10.
Okay, so Vessel and Chelsea, Fawn, 14. So two of them peel off in your direction. And before you realize even what's happening, one of them lunges out with this clawed wingtip. It's not so much an arm as it is like this massive wing, the end of which is kind of spiked and clawed, and it's going to slash out right at you, Vessel. Remember, one action, you guys can choose to fight back or something like that. And again, if you had any weapons on you that you know, a legitimate weapon that you would feel. So this is going to be, I need a 40% on this. That's a 30. To hit. Okay. This is going to do 6 points of damage to Vessel.
Okay.
And you see as this creature whips down with this clawed wingtip and seems to pin Vessel against the kind of the inner wall of the boat. The second one comes out after Chelsea, and you can see its mouth opens up. These fangs are coming at it, and it's going to try to bite down on your arm. I need a 20% on this one. That's a hit.
Damn it, Jeff.
3 points of damage on you. Your turns.
So Fawn takes the maglite
Okay.
and basically just whacks at the piece of this one that's kind of at Vessel.
Okay, one of them is like got Vessel pinned against the interior side of the... Okay, go ahead and roll your attack.
Yeah. Can I do strength times 5?
I think what were we doing, like... What were we doing with your maglite? I don't remember. Were we doing melee weapons? I think we were doing melee weapons. I don't see why we wouldn't do melee weapons with it. I'll give you like a plus 20 since it's literally pinned Vessel, so it means it's also kind of pinned itself, so it's not moving. But even with an 84, that's still not enough. As you swing and you hit it, but it's like it's got these scales, this chitinous texture to its exterior, and the maglite just doesn't seem to be getting through. Then it's going to be Vessel and Chelsea's turns.
Is pin like a condition of some sort?
Basically, I'm just going to treat it as like you're unable to move unless you wanted to try to break free from it, like meaning you couldn't try to like jump out of the boat, you couldn't try to like run to the other side of the boat, like you're pinned against the side of it in close proximity of it. If you want to try to break and move away, we'll say athletics test or strength test or something like that to break free. But if you wanted to attack, you can still attack.
So I can just pull out my pistol and just like point blank it.
Yeah, so it's got you like with it's got one of your shoulders, your arms kind of stabbed and pinned against the interior lining of the boat. You pull your pistol out with your other hand, and yeah, you can fire. That's fine. I don't mind. You need all the help you guys can get.
Success.
I know.
Yeah, go ahead and roll damage.
Damage. Oh, yeah, that's the wrong thing.
You rolled
Oh, thank goodness that
99
wasn't your actual
damage.
roll.
Oh my
Keep
god.
that. 3.
Okay.
All right, Chelsea.
All right, Chelsea.
3 damage.
One just bit you. One is Vessel pinned down on one side of the boat. You hear the gunfire go off. Fawn is trying to smash down on the one that has Vessel pinned. You're not pinned. You were just bit, and it's still kind of floating, flying right there in front of you. It's true snail.
Can I like wish for it to go away as I punch it? Or is that
You can do whatever you want.
okay?
Doesn't mean it's gonna happen.
I know, I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm gonna-
Go ahead and roll your unarmed combat.
Fuck.
And you're punching the one that was
one.
on you.
Oh
That's
my
shit.
gosh, you missed it by 1.
Yeah, you're punching away. Same thing. Like you're hitting it. It's not the problem of hitting it. It's just like you don't seem to be hitting it in a position. Hang on one second. You don't seem to be hitting it in a place that would actually hurt it too much. 1 second. There's actually one little thing.
This is bad. This is bad.
Long. You took only 1 point of damage.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. They have a little ability thing with their damage rolls when it lands on an even versus an odd. So
Oh,
you actually were the
6.
benefit. It doesn't affect you, Chelsea. You still take your 3.
Okay.
All right. So it's going to come around. And again, guys, don't forget, you have the ability to fight back and stuff like that if you want to. It does take up your action for the round, but, it's your call. All right. These things are going to continue. I think now this one has you pinned. It's going to go ahead and take a bite out of you, Vessel. And since you didn't free yourself, I am going to give it a plus 20. So I'm going to need a 40 or under on this bite attempt. And that's exactly enough.
Wow.
Lucky son of a bitch.
No.
1 point of damage.
Oh, that's right.
If I roll even on its damage die, you only take 1 point.
Yay,
Lucky
for
son of a
that.
bitch. Yeah, it's got this. It's got an ability, it's got an ability called Ever Shifting. Any attack that it rolls on an even number for damage inflicts only 1 damage. Any other result inflicts normal damage, and this includes lethality attacks. Okay. And then the other one will be on Chelsea. I think this one will try to pin you this time. So this is just going to be the clawed wingtip attack. So again, this is just to keep you from being mobile. That's a miss as you manage to duck out of the way as this winged arm comes down. You see the scrape of the claw against the wood of the boat. To you, Fawn.
All right, so I would prefer to use my unarmed combat, so I want to try to kick at the one that's got
Sure.
Vessel.
Okay.
And I failed also there.
Yeah. Okay.
Just.
Vessel and Chelsea.
I'm gonna keep putting rounds into this guy.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's...
You've got it. It's like it's pinned you. You've pinned it, and you're just firing the gun right into its belly. And yeah, you've put 2 good shots right into it. It's still up, but you can see some kind of fluid is peeling down. It's blood, more than likely. Chelsea.
I want to try and like take the tire and smash it down over its head to get it trapped inside so it can't fly anymore.
Nice.
Okay. Oh wow, that's cool. I like that. Let's do. I'll say either. And you can roll a regular attack, like a melee attack, if you want. If not, I would take like. I think melee attack. I'll say is probably fine, and I'll give you like a. It's creative. Give you a +20 on this. It's not going to do damage. It's specifically just going to screw up its flying.
So you're saying melee weapon?
Yeah, I think melee weapon makes sense. You're
Okay.
using a weapon, so there's not like an improv thing, so I just use that.
Fuck.
Oh,
Okay.
that was an awful roll.
You try to smash the tire down over its head and try to grind it down, but like you realize that it's just the tire's not big enough. Its arms its shoulder a little bit broad, and it quickly shrugs out of it. And the tire goes falling over the side, but you have the chain in your hand. You kind of keep it from falling all the way down. Back to the top of the round. It's going to keep the same targets. It's going to try to bite you again, Vessel. You still haven't broke free. You need a 40 or under. Bites you once more. I'm rolling really well. That's also a crit.
Oh no. Oh no. Roll.
I don't remember how crits work.
Roll even.
Yeah, you need me to roll an even.
Oh
That's
no.
a lot.
That's not
Don't
even.
wish for it.
That's not even.
You guys watch as this thing buries like a vampire, like right into the neck and shoulder of Vessel, and just wrenches it free, blood squirting, flying everywhere. Chelsea, Fawn, go ahead and roll sand.
What happens when you drop to 2 again? You like go unconscious or something?
Go unconscious. Oh, I think you take more than that though, because you did get. That was a crit. 1 second. I can't remember crits. I totally don't remember rolls.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
been
trying
so
to find
long.
it in the combat actions, and I'm not.
It should be in the combat overview.
Oh, combat overview. All right.
So yeah, critically hit,
Double damage.
doubles
or-
damage, 22 points of damage.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Or an
Yeah, you did.
additional effect.
22, that's even.
I'll make it. I will say, yeah. Just to keep it rolling, I'll go ahead and do an additional effect, and I'll say it's going to, between the pin and between the bite, it's going to. You're going to be bleeding profusely, so we'll say every couple of minutes until you stem the bleeding, you're going to effectively be losing more damage, more blood. We'll say that's like that's the condition. But 2 points of damage, yeah, you sorry, I just clicked on something random. 2 points of damage. Trying to remember. guys really should be dodging and fighting back or stuff like that.
We're trying to fight back, Jeff.
No, literally use the ability fight back. Like it's dodging and fighting. When you're in melee combat with somebody, you use that to block, to dodge, and if you can successfully overcome, and if you win that contested roll, not only do you not get attacked, but you attack it. Like I mentioned this multiple times. Okay, anyway, we'll leave it at that. Then the other one's gonna go after Chelsea. It's gonna again try to pin her. I am rolling rocks. You are pinned unless you want to do the fight back thing. It's contested.
Yeah, we'll
go
try
ahead
it.
and roll. Yeah, you've got a tire in your hand, so roll ahead and roll your melee. You have to succeed and roll higher than a 7.
Okie dokie.
Wow.
As this thing comes swinging down, you hold the tire up, and it manages to, like, the claw, that piercing claw goes right into the hole of the tire. Okay. That's your turn.
Yep.
But it is fight back. Hang on one sec. Let me read fight back again.
If someone attacks your agent with a melee weapon or unarmed combat, not a ranged attack or an explosive, your agent can fight back with unarmed combat or melee weapons to block and counterattack. See defense rolls on page 50.
Yeah, but there's more to this, though. As part of your fighting back roll, you can choose one offensive action. Attack, called shot, disarm, or pin against a single attacker. If your roll beats that attacker's roll, your agent not only just takes no damage, but and that's what you were doing, your agent's action affects the attacker instead. So you not only blocked it, but you hit it. Okay. So since you were literally trying to parry it, did you want to still do the whole thing where you try to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll say what you do is you block with the tire, and then you like kind of slide the tire over top of its arm,
With its
essentially
own momentum.
Yeah, with its own momentum, essentially taking one of its wings out, and this thing goes like falling off the side as it's struggling now to continue to fly within the mist.
Okay, nice.
We'll say effectively that one's out of the combat. That will be your turn. Fawn, it's your turn. You see Vessel is bleeding massively, and his eyes are, he appears to be falling asleep.
Oh goodness. So I'm trying to see what this.
That's a hell of a clutch roll, that 13, by the way.
That was.
And I didn't, maybe that's it. Like, I can't look. That's the only one where I wasn't like watching, like, please God.
Okay, at 1 to 2 HP, you are unconscious. Roll con times 5 to avoid being permanently crippled. Vessel.
Successful.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you are unconscious though. You can see. So you look over Fawn. You see he's bleeding profusely. He's there. Like Chelsea just managed to like completely completely knock another one out of the fight. But this other one that Vessel has fired on twice, he's fallen to the ground. His gun's on the ground. What do you want to do, Fawn?
I'm awful at shooting guns. I was gonna pick up the gun and try to shoot it, but I'm horrible at that.
Fawn picks up the gun, shoots Chelsea.
Right? It's about what would happen.
I'm all for like.
I die a third time.
I just really feel at some point Fawn should have probably acquired a more effective weapon. Like, I get it, you're a historian, but you're also a Delta Green agent, so after all these years, it might have been a good idea to pick up something else other than hitting stuff with a flashlight.
Well, yeah, but skills-wise, like, I still wouldn't be very good at it anyway, because I really.
There's only one way to get better.
So can I try to do something to where I'm trying to move him out of the way so that if there's another hit that comes, it hits me and not him?
Sure. Yeah. I think you can just intersperse yourself. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But you can still you can intersperse yourself between it and him. No problem. But
Okay.
you can take an action, though. Like, it's close enough that you guys are next to each other. Thumb knife. Good call, 2L to Twitch.
Oh, good callback. I'm going to try to kick it again.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I've got to try to do damage, right? Like,
Yeah.
unless I'm not understanding the dodge thing. Like,
Yeah, you got it. I mean, like, you can. This is the year that you end the round. All right, so yeah, because I was giving you plus 20, that's actually going to be a hit. Because it's literally got Vessel pinned, it's biting into Vessel's neck, and you're kicking it while it's not paying attention. So I gave you plus 20. So go ahead and roll, I think, D4 minus 1.
Okay. So does that make it a crit, or no? Only if it's rolled. Because plus 20 would make it a 44.
No, it's a 64 under.
Okay, yeah,
under a 67.
Okay, sorry. What am I rolling?
You're rolling a D4 minus 1.
Okay. One.
Okay. You do 1 point of damage to it as you relatively ineffectually kick it. It's going to come back around, and it will go ahead and now, I think, try to take a chomp out of you. This is 20%. That's a miss. Chelsea, your turn. You've lost your tire.
Yeah.
But one of them is out of the fight.
I'm still kind of holding that one.
If you want to keep holding on to it, you're going to roll a strength test and a contested test to see if you get yanked out of the boat.
Oh, no, I want to like throw it overboard.
Oh no, it's already falling. Like it's already like what Al, it's like it's falling.
Yeah.
It's one of its wings isn't working because there's a tire around it.
Yeah,
so you can choose to let go of it, and that's fine. Or if you wanted to try to hold on to it, then you might get yanked out of the boat with it.
No, I'll let that go. Is that's not my turn though, is it? Or
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, you got an action.
Can I tackle this other one?
I mean, you could do whatever you want.
You can do a pin.
Yeah, let me pull it back up. Combat actions.
Guys, I really think you really should just be trying to do damage to it. Like, the creativity is great, but at the same time, it's pinned and it's biting Vessel, and like, it's already kind of immobile because it's already pinned Vessel itself. And much like doing a grapple, when you grapple somebody, you're also kind of taking the grapple condition too. But like, in this case, you really should just find a way to just do some damage
from
to
chat:
it.
bite it.
No, I'm not gonna bite it. I'll start wailing on this guy. Just start punching its face.
Okay, sure. Yeah, go ahead and roll unarmed.
58.
Okay. No, I'm giving you guys plus 20 because it's like it's literally it's biting Vessel. Now it just tried to bite Fawn. It's still got it's got like, I basically have it like one of its wings is stabbed itself through like Vessel's shoulder into the wood itself, so it's not really moving. So go ahead and roll D4 minus 1.
2.
Okay. Cool.
All
right.
1 and 2 and
With
3 and...
with you guys having started to beat on this thing, it's got 2 of these big old bullet wounds. It's got a bite of a chunk of Vessel in its mouth. It's going to wrench free, and it's going to like leave the fight. It's going to like hop out of the boat at this point, dripping blood from its mouth where it's got some of Vessel's flesh in between its teeth. You can see bits of it on its weird, disgusting chin, and it's going to start flying away at this point. And you guys see that Vessel is laying there on the ground, bleeding, like gushing. What do you guys want to do? One of you could roll first aid, medicine, something like that.
If something needs to get done, yeah. My first aid's 10. What's yours, Fawn?
11. So guess I'm rolling it.
You're done.
Just put me down.
You guys are the worst.
Yep.
This is the worst. Oh my god.
I
don't think, by the way, I took a look at it. I don't think there's anyone in the group who has over 11. I think 11 might be the highest first aid medicine in the entire group.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we have any old rerolls? Because this is one where we should use it if we had
It's
any.
too late for that. It's too late for that. All right. So you managed to stem the bleeding, but he's still unconscious. So he gets no HP back for recuperation. So he doesn't get like a D4 back. But you do manage to just sort of wad up some cloth. All the while, the boat's been kind of descending slowly. And as it does, you kind of look down and you can see below you there's like streets and buildings intact. And you see a body laying on the ground as the boat slowly and gently lands on one of these cobblestone streets.
Fawn wants to go look at the body.
Yeah, you look at the body. As when you reach the bottom of the lake, the fog just sort of drifts up and away until suddenly above you, the sky is completely clear. The lake isn't even there anymore. It's just this clear sky, black stars above. You're surrounded by what looks like a mirror image of the ruins that you just saw, but somehow they've been restored to like their former glory. Architecture is alien, beautiful, strange though, but familiar, like Victorian maybe. As you're looking around, you can see it kind of undulates and ripples from time to time, shifting. Doorways seem to waver in like this kind of unseen current, almost like you're looking on a horizon in the distance in heat. Windows kind of cascade a bit from time to time. All of you see that there are these huge bulbed towers of a palace hanging above the city, though you don't remember seeing those in the ruins above. If Vessel were conscious, which he is not, you would definitely recognize this as something you saw looking out the window in the Dorchester house. The palace looks like it's close, but it's very clearly far across the city. The city, too, also feels abandoned, despite being in better condition than the ruins above. Walls, roofs intact. And then there is Album's body on the ground. He's got this huge gash along his backside.
Does he have a pulse?
I mean, why don't you go ahead and roll a first aid test? I will give you, hang on. I'll give you a plus 20.
Okay, am I rolling then?
Somebody does.
It's a 1 difference. Like,
Well, you said you got out to go look at his body.
We'll say Fawn is addressing Vessel, you're addressing Album,
Okay.
whatever.
oh no,
Failure.
Gosh,
Okay.
freaking darn it.
Okay. Yeah, it's a massive wound. You're not sure if he's alive or dead. You sometimes you think you feel a pulse, sometimes you think you don't. He's not actively bleeding, but it's just it definitely looks like a recent wound, but there's not like a pool of blood on the ground or anything like that.
Fawn?
Yeah.
Do you see this? Like, how could you survive this? Like, he's dead.
Well,
Uh,
but so are you, and here you are, and so is Vessel, and here he is.
okay,
So
but
maybe-
I don't know how I died or whatever, but like, I presume it wasn't anything like this.
Still bad, but not quite like.
I
And
don't-
she's
I don't-
Fawn.
and
As you're pulling Vessel out, like you're in the middle of like a street, you look across the street and you can see in the window, you see someone move past it, as if there's someone inside of one of these buildings nearby.
I'm gonna go get help. And so I'm gonna run and see if I can flag that person down.
You're inside a building, so you go up to the door. Do you knock? Do you just knock the door open? What do you do?
I'll bang on the door loudly.
Bang on the door. When the door opens, you see that there is a person standing in front of you, roughly your height. You could tell by the figure, probably a woman. And the first thing that you notice is that she's got a blood-stained pillowcase over her head. And you can see it's marked by what looks like a bullet hole and muzzle burn. And it's got this, right around that wound, it's fairly slick with blood and brains. You're pretty confident, even though you suck at first aid, that is probably a fatal wound. Roll SAN.
Oh gosh. That's fail.
Roll a d4. Take 1 point from violence. But they're just standing there in the doorway, like waiting for you to say something.
Are you alive?
What
Can you
kind
hear
of
me?
question is that? Of course I can hear you. What is wrong, my dear?
Our friend is dying.
Oh, no, that sounds very horrible. It's very horrible. Come, quick, come in. She kind of leans back. Lemark, Bissard, come help. We have a visitor. Come help. And you see from behind her 2 others move up. One definitely taller than her, probably, brother, husband, something like that. And another smaller, maybe a child. They come running, and you hear, what is it? What is it, my dear? They have a very heavy accent that you don't quite place, Fawn. But both of the other 2 have bloody pillowcases over their heads. Bullet holes. Brain matter and blood oozing out of it as they come up.
But they're talking to me, and they can hear me.
You see behind them, there's like this knocked over table. You can see there's bullet holes in the walls and the ceiling. You can see that where they're coming from, the whole apartment, there's like these 3 chairs. They've been dragged to the center of the room, and there's pools of blood and brain matter scattered all around.
And Fawn's just gonna yell out, Chelsea, get over here.
Yes, come in. We will help you. Would you? I will put on tea. Come.
And like Chelsea's not gonna leave Vessel and Album. Just
You're like 20 feet away.
Can you just see if you're seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah, you see it. Like you see the pillowcase covered people 20 feet away. It's fine.
okay. Yeah.
Is there another building like next door?
You're in the middle of a city, Melissa. There's buildings
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
There's rubble though. Like some of the streets seem to sort of be blocked here and there, like barricades and such. Like something's been set up, but
I would like to try like a next door type of option.
yeah,
and
you
see
start
if
one of it
I
like,
can find
what?
them.
Why you run? We will help you. And you run away from the people who are offering to help you. And you open a door of a neighboring building, start kind of wandering about inside, and you can see that it's maybe 3 or 4 small rooms. There's like a tall, thin windows. No one opens the door. Just kind of, you push it open. There's no toilets or bathroom fixtures, just kind of like a hole in the ground. It seems like it's been ransacked. Like it has the feeling that like people left in a hurry, right? And you can see there's some
Anybody
bullet
in here?
holes and stuff. There's nobody in here. You move in and out each of the rooms.
She'll go back to where she just came from.
Darn right. There we go. Actual Gwyn, Lord of Cinder. Along the shore, the cloud waves break.
That they did.
I was on a watch. What do you do, Fawn?
I'm gonna go back over and just say, "Can you leave? Can you come help us?"
No. Why don't bring them? We will help. Come inside. Come. It's very cold outside. Bring in. We shall put tea on.
Fawn doesn't know what the hell to do. So Fawn is gonna go back to Chelsea and be like, "I don't know what to do. There isn't anybody next door. They say they can help, but they're dead. They're dead. Clearly, they're dead. I see their blood on the ground. They're dead."
I don't know what to do. And like Chelsea's freaking out. She's like holding Vessel. She's like got this like wad of like her undershirt or something pressed up against his neck to try and stem the bleeding as she's like desperately like looking at Album, like what can we even do with his body?
So Fawn's gonna be like, well, he looks shit out of luck, but maybe not. So I'll drag him in, and like maybe this will actually work. So she's gonna drag him into the pillowcase family.
Okay. You get like right up to the door, and like what you assume is probably the father reaches down, grabs one of Album's ankles, just starts to, oh yeah, oh this is we can fix this. This is not, this is but a scratch. No problem, no problem. Come in. And you see as he just drags Album into the room that's the chairs are all about. There's pools of blood and brain matter, and he's just dragging Album's body through it like it's not even there. Oh yes, no problem. I shall. Be sorry. Go run, get my things. And you see the little one kind of just like, yes, father, and he runs off. What are you doing, Chelsea?
I'll slowly start to like throw his other arm that's not next to where his bleeding is and start heading towards the house.
Okay. Same thing. You come up, and then the woman, oh yes, come. Oh, this is so very. Oh, how terrible. We will help you. No, no. My husband was Lamarck was very good. He was a doctor, harrowspecks, very, very effective. Yes, he shall make them better. No problem. Would you like tea? Tea?
I don't think we have time for tea. We both of our.
There's always time for tea. Just calm down. Let him do his work. It's fine.
Fawn is having a really hard time. She just lost quite a bit of sanity.
Now, the two of you are in the room, by the way.
No.
It smells in here like explosives, like gunpowder, like petroleum, nitroglycerin, that kind of thing. Like it's like all around, like outside, inside. Yes, come. And you would recognize, Chelsea, actually, a Tartessian accent, actually.
Yeah.
Like you've I'm not sure if you've heard it spoken before. I can't remember.
Fawn
But we'll
has.
just say you do. We'll say you have. I don't know if Fawn has heard the
She
language
Constant
When I spoke with
Constain or whatever.
Castaigne.
Castaigne?
Did he have
In the
Well,
Night
actually, that's a
Solars?
good point. Yeah, he did actually have a little bit of an accent too. Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah.
Very similar accent. Yeah. Okay. You see the man with the big soggy red pillowcase
Oh my gosh.
leaning over Album, who has been dragged through pools of blood and brain matter. You can see from the bullet hole in the pillowcase head, bits just kind of drop down as he's just leaning over. Oh, yes, no, we can. Oh, this is not good. No, we can fix this. The little kid comes up. He's like, here, Papa, carrying this like little medical kit. And you see him start
if it was
just
a pillowcase, I was gonna lose my shit.
just slowly puts the pillowcase over Album's head, and he pops back up to life. All right. Let's
And so
see how.
This is actual medical equipment. Like this, he looks like he's really doing.
Oh
it.
yeah, he's just like stitching Album up. Like, no, yes, no, he's fine. Album. At some point, like you kind of wake up in the middle of this. You feel like this pinch in your back, and you kind of look back over the shoulder, and you see this massive wound in your back, and you see a man who's kneeling over top of you with a bloody pillowcase, blood and brain matter dripping. You don't have any feeling at the moment in your extremities. Roll a sand test.
Wow.
I expected this.
Ah, yes, but another day, Miss Housecape.
Okay. You are 100% certain that this, like the wound that you have in your back, like it goes right up your spine. Like you think your spine was severed. And this guy's like stitching it up like it's no big deal. Like there's no way you can walk with this. Like no, there's no possible way. None whatsoever. Like how? What? And he's like, oh yes, you'll be right, is right. No problem, no problem. And he's just like closing the flesh over top of your spine.
Am I able to talk?
Yeah. I mean,
Are his eyes open?
yeah, you see his eyes are open, and he's got wounds all over him, but the big one is that massive gash. Like he took a huge slash, like kind of diagonally across his back.
Album, you're alive.
How is he doing this?
I don't freaking know.
I went to medical school. I am very good doctor. Very good, very good.
Which class did they teach spine severing in?
No. Good to keep up good humor. It will make you heal better, just faster. Good. He's just kind of stitching. Meanwhile, the little kid's just like sitting cross-legged, just watching, kind of like poking at the body of Vessel, like every now and then, like at the wound here and there. Like, Papa, can I stitch this one up? Can I?
How did you all get down here? Did you all also slip off or walk off the edge, apparently?
Yeah,
No, we
this
used
is
to
our
go.
home. Oh, you talked to them. I apologize. She's
Wait, we
pushing the
after we're done, we would like to talk with you.
No.
But yeah, we got on the boat, and the boat gradually descended, but we had to fight a thing, and Vessel is actually unconscious. And then we got to the bottom, and then the clouds broke, and it was a blue sky.
Well, the thing you probably fought is the thing that I probably bumped into.
We fought like stingray-ish looking thingamabobs.
I think a Leviathan nudged me with its big toe.
Oh, wait, I saw those. That didn't attack us though. That was huge.
Yes.
You hear a tea kettle go off, like in a different room. Chelsea, what are you doing?
Like, she's just kind of still sitting in the corner, like holding Vessel's like compress or whatever to his neck, and she's just watching. Like, I don't know the fuck is going on, and I am not quite cool with this one.
The little kid sitting next to you, and he's just sort of occasionally poking at Vessel's wound. Papa, let me stitch this one. I've learned really good.
Maybe don't poke that, honey. She says as she's like looking at this kid, like.
Again, pillowcase over the head.
Yeah.
I also think I need you to roll. You in Album and Chelsea need to roll. This is for the pillowcase heads talking to you.
Failure.
Naturally, doctors wear pillowcases.
Of course, right? You definitely do that. You don't want to get germs in like the wounds.
It's much more
yeah.
secure than just a mask.
Yeah, it's from violence, Chelsea. You're good though, Album. Like you have bigger problems. Like there's a gash that severed your spine, and no amount of stitching is going to let you walk again. So you are unable to move in the middle of a strange city.
Okay.
You see the woman comes out with this rusted old tray. She's got the tea kettle on top of it. She's got a couple small teacups. Yeah. Who would like tea? You look so tired. Here, take some.
Chelsea,
Can you
wants
just
to
throw it
go
on
to
my
the
face?
Hospitality.
Oh no, it's much too hot. It would burn your pretty face.
I can't move my arm. It's the only way it's gonna. You have a sippy straw?
Straw.
Bond will
No,
just
no straw.
Kind of shush him and be like, "I'll take some for him. Thank you. That was very nice."
Yes. Don't worry. My Lamarck, he will make sure your friends are just fine.
Yeah.
Fawn just can't get over just looking at them and just has so many questions. But
She like leans in close to you and she like pats you. Don't worry. Like pillowcase inch two away. Don't worry. Lamarck, very good, best doctor in all of the city.
You see me?
Of course, dear. I see you. You're right in front of me.
Okay, thank you for the tea. And Fawn will kind of get down and cradle and sort of give Album
Okay.
some tea.
So a couple minutes go past, 10, 20, etc. And eventually, like, I'm done. I am done with this. You are good. Go ahead. Stand up, my man. You should be great. You just stand up. Go ahead. He calls down to Album. Album, make a sand test.
Oh.
I fail.
You feel a little tingling suddenly in your legs, your feet, your fingers. Like a little bit of, like, what the hell did he?
What even is this
Your
game?
your leg starts to move, and then your hand the fingers start to wiggle a bit. Slowly, the feeling is beginning to course its way back into you. Yes. Oh, see, he's very good, very strong. This one, very strong. Okay, let me see this one. Let me see. Oh yes, Pisa. I know he is your friend, but he looks okay. He's not going to die. But my son, I have been teaching him my ways. Would you mind? Can he stitch? Can he stitch? Do you mind? I shall be here. I shall watch. No problem. No problem. This is to you, Chelsea.
Yeah. She'll kind of like hesitantly, like, as long as you step in if necessary.
Oh, of course. No, I would not let anything happen to you.
There's no marionette strings in this room, in this house, right?
Nah, it just looks like a dirty apartment.
Okay.
Little kid, he's like, "Oh, thank you, Papa, thank you," and he kind of roughly pulls the patch away. He's like, "Oh, he looks like he was bit by big creature," and he just starts, "Oh yes," like really like rough, like gouging like this rusted metal hook that he's stitching it all around. Oh yes, very good. Probably when he's like 3/4 of the way through the stitching, Vessel, you sort of snap back into consciousness. You see Album sort of his body on the ground. He's kind of moving about like a fish, like his arms are kind of flopping here and there, like he's struggling a bit. He's got this massive gash down his back that's got these rough black stitches that are just like crisscrossing but have just tied the flesh together. You see Chelsea is leaning against the wall. There is a little kid that's leaning right over top of your head, because like he's like sitting behind you, like behind your head, and he's leaning over top looking down at your neck stitching, and you're just dropping right onto your face are bits of blood and brain from this soaked red pillowcase. And
I'll recoil from the sudden.
Okay. Oh, no, don't move. You're going to ruin my Papa. I was doing fine, but he moved. It's not my fault.
Where am I? What's going on?
No.
Just
You're fine.
down.
Don't worry. My Bisal is first in his class. He's very good. You're in good hands. And you look over like towards this like calming voice, and you see a big man with a big blood red pillowcase, big old fatal bullet hole right in the face, bits of brain matter and blood dripping out. You see, standing a few steps away, there is a woman dressed. They're kind of wearing these dark, kind of ragged old clothes, also with one of those pillowcases, standing next to Fawn, and she has a teacup in her hand. Who the hell knows how she's drinking it, but Fawn's there, teacup in hand as well. Vessel, go ahead and roll sand.
Yeah.
I have some of that. A failure.
Oh my
Your
gosh.
neck feels better, actually. It feels like it's like you look down, you could see like the horrible gash. You're like, I think it might have got your jugular, but the kid, I mean, it's crude, the stitching, but you feel better a little bit. And roll another sand now.
Another one. Wait, do I lose any for the first one?
No.
Failure.
Okay. Now roll a d4. Actually, wait, are you adapted to violence?
No, I'm not adapted.
Okay, roll a d4. take 2
Only
more points of
Derek
saying
had that.
loss. I think, yeah, Derek's in the best shape, other than the fact
Derek's
that I just split his spine in half, and now he's flopping around.
bitches.
And I've been there,
That
man.
would be whole.
High school football injury. Good times.
Ugh.
Okay.
Bogged
So-
down to 6 sand.
Yeah, that's rough. What do you guys do?
So, is there any mirrored surface in this?
Everything's dirty and rusty and broken here. You don't really see anything like that, no.
You could turn on your selfie camera on your phone.
I do suppose I probably would. So, Fawn is gonna kind of stumble over her words, and just say, "I am so grateful for all of your assistance."
Of course, no problem. It would be with just neighborly, you know. Nothing to be worried about. Your friends will be fine. Like I said, my Mark, very talented physician.
The-
No, my Besar, he shall one day shall be even better than his father.
I see that, but what I also can't help seeing is all of your faces.
Of course, they're right here in front. What else would you be seeing while speaking to one another? You've had a very troubling time. Don't worry. One day, Bizarre will be the greatest doctor in the whole of the city. They will bring him to the court, to the palace, and he will attend to all of the finest of the dignitaries, and he will be thought of throughout the city for the greatness that he is. But don't worry.
I'm
don't
new to the city. What city is this?
You are kidding, I hope. This is the great city of Itil.
Oh,
Of course.
right. Yeah. How long was I out for? What year is it?
Oh, this is that's a very strange question. How long?
I hit my
were
head
you
really
out?
hard. I mean,
What year is it? It is 1872. Of course.
Do you all ever? Fawn's sort of been like, okay, the whole pillowcase thing, that's not gonna work. Do you all ever travel out of here?
Of course, we see all the world. We want to raise our son with a broad mind to see everything.
How do you normally do that? Travel.
By carriage, of course. You ask very strange questions. You lady should rest now. You should rest. Yes. You are welcome to stay, of course. We do not have much room, but Besar can sleep in our room, and the two of you can take his, and two of you can sleep out here. We will move the table. You will have plenty of room.
You've really done so much for us. How
It is the least we can do. We are happy to help.
can we make you some food, or is there any work you need
No.
done or anything?
What? No. You embarrass me. No. This is my home. I am your host.
You just healed two of my friends. I mean, as a
Well,
manager, do you not?
My
payment
my
for work
husband
done?
and son did this. I am not a healer. I am other things, of course. Not a healer.
But you can't just give work out like that for free. That's
What kind of person expects money for medical care? It is the noble thing. This is not something one should profit from, is it? What kind of cruel and ruthless person would charge money for medical assistance? It is just abomination. Horrible.
sorry, we were raised by our Uncle Sam.
This Uncle Sam sounds very cruel. I can't keep it up.
well, your generosity is unmet where we come from.
Yes. Why don't you get some rest? We shall leave you and your friends to some privacy. Yes. It is very late. Bisa has school in the morning.
Sure.
And of course, Remark must go to the hospital.
Maybe we could go with him tomorrow and see.
Oh,
Where he works.
perhaps, yes. I will be going to the pier, of course, but yes.
Thank you.
Of
Again.
course. So they excuse themselves to a different room. You see them just kind of wander into like their homes, and one of them picks out right in here. This the first door on the right. You can sleep in here. 2 of you out in here. I've put in fresh sheets and pillowcases.
That is wonderful hospitality.
Yes.
And Fawn can't resist herself when they leave of just turning around and just like poking Album in the leg and just being like, you can walk and you're alive.
Well, I don't remember dying, but I guess that's how it works. Yeah. Do you think she works in a mattress factory?
I just don't even know anymore.
And what did she say? Italy?
You said util?
Itil.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we knew that was what the city was called. Right? We knew that.
Yeah.
She sort of says far off. Like, I think we knew that.
Still coming to. Reconstitution apparently is difficult work. Now what? There was definitely a battle from what it sounds like if Vessel's throat was torn out. What was the next part of the poem? The party.
That might be, I mean,
I'll be at the palace.
What do you think would happen if they cut the strings on my wound? Am I what are those? Am I a marionette now?
No, I already looked to see.
None of
I
the
don't
strings
know
from my
if-
back go into the ceiling?
I don't know if we've found the shadow. Like, I don't know if fighting that on the way down is really the battle. I don't know if that was enough to be a battle. I mean, I don't.
Okay,
to
but
chew you
like
down.
clearly we're in the ruin. We were in the ruins of a battle, and then now we're in like the actual like remains of these people were executed. We know that the Tartessians went through some sort of battle, so I don't think we need to focus on that too much more.
Well, it's been a day. I don't know how long. I could use some sleep.
Are we really sleepy? Jeff, Ashley, where would you like to sleep? In the room with the pillowcases, or here out in the open?
We can collect enough brain bits to make a makeshift pillow.
They gave us mattresses and pillows and things to sleep on.
No, there's no
I was
mattresses.
just observing the floor.
They didn't notice. So maybe I shouldn't tell you this, but when they helped to drag your body in from the shore, and they were dragging you into the house, just right through the blood, like it wasn't there. I don't think they know.
Probably
Yes.
not. I mean, that doesn't surprise me though.
But I mean, they healed you, so they're real enough to do magical surgery on you with some thread.
We'll see if that lasts if we make it out of here. I have a feeling if I go back to where we're from, I'll just collapse.
Well, we're going through, not back, so we'll see. Fawn will probably just want to sleep unless other folks have a strong desire elsewise.
I'll keep watch.
I mean, now that Fawn mentions it, all of you do feel kind of tired.
I could use a rest. That sounds good.
The room that they went into, is there a gap between the door and the floor?
Oh, the door is, there's not even a door. It's been like ripped off and broken into pieces on the ground, as if someone burst through it.
Are they just like standing in the room or something? What are they doing if I try and peek in there discreetly?
Yeah, there's no one in there.
What?
Yeah, there's no one in there.
But, well, they gave you guys pillowcases, so, you know, they're gone now. They gave you the pillowcase that was covering them. But they're not in there.
House? Check all the rooms?
Yeah, there's like 3 rooms in here. Bunch of broken furniture. Washroom with a hole in the floor. That's about it.
Are the bloodstains still on the floor?
Oh yeah, yeah.
We needed a healer and you found a healer. Were you not frantically wishing for a healer as you knocked on that door and went in?
Yes, I was.
Oh God.
We're all tired.
Yeah, do we do shifts? Where are we sleeping? I don't think we should be at least in this room where people have been executed.
I can agree with that.
Can we all just like cluster in that one other room?
Sure.
Yeah, maybe just sort of like sit and lean against the wall and just try to doze off that way, maybe.
Okay.
In shifts.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, you all take shifts. You start realizing it's hard to kind of tell exactly how long those shifts are taking. You look down at your watch, if you have one. Minute hands, hour hands seem to move in the same sort of way that you think you think maybe 3 hours pass, but then you look at your watch and like, has it moved at all? Everybody sleeps.
I actually got to sleep.
You wake up who knows how long later. None of you restore WP or HP in this manner. You just wake up.
Speaking of HP, am I at 1 HP with the back?
Yeah, you can go ahead and put it at 1. I think you go back to 1, but you can put that down for now. It might be even higher. It might be 3. I can't remember. I'll look it up later. But yeah, you can just put it at 1 for now.
When we wake up, has anything changed in our building?
Not that you can tell. I mean, it just looks like a rundown, abandoned, ransacked home.
Where to today?
Did you see a palace when we were coming down?
I didn't really see much, no.
And I'll sort of describe everything to Vessel and Album, since they missed sort of what we saw when we were on the way down, so that they get the full description with like the buildings with minarets and all that stuff.
Well, or they can step outside and they can see looming over the entire city. There's these massive bulbed towers of the palace. Absolutely. And Vessel, this looks familiar to you. You looked out a window in the Dorchester house at one point, I believe, and you saw towers, minarets, these bulb things. Just looks almost exactly like that. But it's huge, this thing, and it just seems like ever present. You know, it's like gotta be on the complete opposite side of the city. Has to be. But it just looms there. Yeah. You see on the Chelsea, when you guys are out in the street, you see like there's a bunch of like posters here and there. Some are kind of on the ground and gutters. Some of them are posted onto like lampposts and things like that. And you can see like the Tartessian script. You can see that one of them has what looks like some kind of paint over top of it, this blood red symbol that is painted across what looks like some sort of written script. There's these 3 curved lines that look like a crashing wave. And that all of it seems to have been like painted over top of something else. And the message that it was painted over top of is the Tartessian. It says, "The soldier of Ytil is the guarantor of victory."
As we all write that down.
Is there anything else around, or is it just that repeated everywhere?
That's what all the posters nearby look to have on them. There's a couple here and there, like on a lamppost or on the ground. That's it. I mean, but looking around, I mean, you could see that there's tons of, there's cobblestone avenues and streets that go off in all sorts of different ways, like bicycle spokes here and there. You can see that, like, again, there's that sort of undulating nature of some of the doorways here and there and windows, almost like this kind of cascading effect from time to time. But yeah, you can see that there's some of these streets seem to be blocked by rubble. Some of them are open. Others are, you can see what almost looks like some sort of eruption of cobblestone with like a gash along the middle of the street that might block your way and kind of steers you down an alleyway here and there. Definitely seems to have been a little bit of damage done to this place. But the buildings are still mostly intact. It's in far better condition than the ruins that you saw above the Cloud Lake.
So do we beeline it to the palace?
I mean, we know that's where the king holds court. Chelsea will suggest that maybe we keep some surveillance on the palace first before just waltzing in there.
I mean, right now it's literally just looming above the city. Like it's like being on one side of New York City and you can see the Empire State Building. Like there's really nothing you can do from here.
No, once we get closer.
Yeah.
All right. So what are you guys doing?
I think we are going to trek across town and try to get to the palace.
Okay.
Or the vicinity of it.
Okay. Who's leading the way? Who's taking point?
Someone who has high alertness. This is not fun.
I have 71 alertness.
The album is, with his 1 health, is limping.
Yeah.
Bruises, still blood. Feels a cool breeze on his backside. Who's leading the way?
I'll lead the way.
Okay. So you pick a path that's relatively open and you move down the avenue. It's it's a weird feeling, actually, traveling these streets. Like there are times when you feel like you've walked for a mile and the palace just seems to be in the exact position. Like you've been walking towards it, but it doesn't feel like you've gotten any closer. And then there's other times when you've walked 10 feet and suddenly things shift. More than once you've been pushed off the course. There's been rubble on the avenue that you've taken and you've had to take a back alley between 2 buildings. And then other times you've had to cut through apartments entirely just to find your way, weaving between a couple homes upstairs to a second floor, opening the door, and then down a stoop on the other side to find another street. Empty. Nothing here. You don't see much at all. Vessel, roll a sand test.
A failure.
Okay. As you descend that stoop after having come out of this building you cut through, you kind of have to immediately climb up the stoop of another, push the door open, continuing to try to kind of path your way in a vector towards the palace. And as you push the door open, this stench of feces just washes over you. As you look around in this room vessel of this building, this apartment, you can see that the yellow sign is emblazoned everywhere. You can see it on the walls, written in probably blood. In some cases, it's been smeared in human feces. And you can see hanging in the living room, there is a yellow flag with 2 circles and about a dozen or so black dots on a white sky. You also see that laying on the floor is a dress laid out. Sort of this peculiar manner, as if it was just laying in a way that someone might have just vanished from inside of it, just as the way it's kind of cascaded onto the ground. As you all step inside, who's got history in here?
I've got some history.
What do you got?
Got an 80.
Yeah, you take a both of you take a look at this, and yeah, the dress kind of looks French, upper class, maybe 19th century. So you look in all the rooms, and there's no signs of who might have worn it. Rest of the rooms are empty, save the various shapes, small, large, of these yellow signs.
What size is the dress in relation to either Chelsea or myself?
I mean, it doesn't look perfect. I'm sure one of you could fit into it, but it's also got some dust and everything on it. It's probably not in the greatest of condition.
Fawn will just look at Chelsea and say, if we're off to a masquerade ball, might need to dress the part.
Does this look like that this would fit in with like a masquerade?
I mean, it's an upper class dress. I'm not sure if it would be so elaborate to be a masquerade ball type of, which is even more grandiose. But this is the type of thing that somebody in upper class would wear regularly. It's not a special occasion gown.
Without completely disintegrating it, is it something that I could fold up and
Sure.
throw in my bag?
Yeah, you roll it up and take it with you.
Unless you wanted to, Chelsea.
Yeah, no, that works.
Is there a pattern to the signs, or just random?
You don't notice a pattern. I mean, there's some that are bigger, some that are smaller, some that are in blood, some that are in chalk, some that are in charcoal, some that are in feces.
Do I recognize the flag at all?
No. No, you don't.
Okay.
And sorry if I missed it. What did this building seem like it had been before?
Looks like just a
function-wise?
person's apartment, a home.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. And there isn't any correspondence or anything.
Again, looks ransacked for the most part, but just the way the room has been torn up here and there, but the way the dress was laid out was just so peculiar.
Yeah.
In a way that just looks so strangely perfect, considering the mess that the room and the state of the room is in.
Yeah.
And Fawn will just say, we may, as we're looking at buildings, since we have a long way to go, we may want to see if we find anything that looks like a prison. Because the invitation that had the discussion of the masquerade was the one that was addressed to DeCraig with a prisoner number.
Okay.
So if we see a building that appears to be something that might hold prisoners, we may want to check it out.
I think you know from your history, though, that DeCraig was locked up in a prison in Chicago, like Joliet. I think you know that from some of your research.
Oh, okay.
All right, what do you guys do from here?
Keep going.
Okay. You move out the door, get back onto the streets.
Real quick,
Yeah.
did this apartment have a number?
No, you haven't actually noticed addresses or anything like that.
Because I remember Abigail Wright had paid a month's rent for apartment 10B. So I was wondering if we could find an apartment 10B here.
I think you knew that was supposed to be for the night floors, like for the McAllister building, to kind of indicate.
Oh, well, I knew she was on the ground of the first floor, so the 10 is what stuck out, but okay.
After she moved up to the night floor, she
Right, that makes sense too.
paid. We're trying to put all the pieces together.
Vessel, as you guys get back on the street, go ahead and roll a sand test.
Quick fail.
Yeah, you guys continue to sort of journey inward for 5 hours, 6, maybe 7. I don't know. You lose track. At some point, you look down at your watch, and 7 hours have passed, and you look up, and the palace just looms there, same size as it was before. It seems almost as like you've not gotten any movement whatsoever. You see a massive like crater in the middle of the streets, like that, just almost like an endless canyon. But you find your way into a building. You go up to a second story, and you do this parkour hopping from balcony to balcony. You start moving your way inside what looks like some kind of like artist's garret, like a attic studio. As you climb inside, you can see it's filled with sculpting, painting tools, and a variety of sculptures in progress. Most of them, though, you can see have been smashed like to bits. Like you can see the chunks of some kind of marble on the ground here and there. With one exception, there is this perfect marble sculpture of this beautiful and nude young man, and it so exquisitely done it almost looks like it's retained details like a photograph. Anyone have art?
Yes.
Any kind will do.
I have 21 in painting.
Roll art plus 20.
Failure.
Yeah, I mean it's
What did you have?
20.
you can roll. Yeah, anybody who's got art can roll art plus 20.
Ooh, 9.
I mean, you've probably, as a historian yourself, I'm sure you've gone to many museums. You've probably seen like works of some of the greatest sculptors in human history, and you have quite literally never seen craftsmanship so high. Like even Michelangelo would be like put to shame here. And as you're looking at it, you can see that the marble, it almost seems to glow from within.
Is there like a little informational plaque in front of it?
No. This isn't this doesn't look like a museum. This looks more like an artist's studio. But as you're peeking around, Chelsea, you're kind of like leaning down, kind of looking at the base. You reach out and take a look. Exhale a bit. You see like a little bit of like the cold breath come out and just sort of push against the leg of this figure. All of you in the room watch as a flash of like pure sunlight envelops the entirety of the room. And when it fades, where the statue was, you now see in the same figure, same form, same features, a living young man. And that's where we'll stop for tonight.
Oh. As soon as you were describing the statue, I was thinking of like the Medusa commercials that we've been seeing. I'm like, is that a person?
Why would you do that? That's a horrible. Those commercials suck. I hate that commercial so much.
I know what you
All
did.
right. So that is it. You guys doing okay?
No.
Album has joined the dead crew. So there's now 3 people who have died.
Yep.
It's just fun. Last one, if I get one more, I think I get like a free soda or something from Sonic. So, but
I'm in
Fawn's
double digits for right now, but
Yep.
not very high.
Don't
I
forget.
actually got a good night's sleep and I didn't get to restore anything from my
I know.
good night's
Sorry.
sleep.
I knew that was
Took
going to
a
happen
crit
too.
success
I
sleep.
saw the one. I'm like, oh, that's a shame.
Oh.
I think you're at full willpower though, if you take a look. All right. So let's see. Hopefully we're going to be playing again next week. We'll see. I mean, we got decently far. We went a lot longer than I thought we were going to go. I was hoping to finish sooner, but yeah, we went a little. We got a ways to go still. Got a ways to go. Had a hiccup around the lake, but
Bring people back to the land of the living or whatever this is that we're in.
But hey, it's a good thing you found that lovely pillowcase family to to make things better. Like, yes, very good doctor. How did they see? They take their masks really seriously in Ito,
But they're tripping.
Melissa's like,
through it.
do you see the pillowcase with like the gore coming off your own face? I'm like, Melissa, what?
Oh goodness! Don't forget, if you failed rolls, you get your D4 thing. So make sure you do that. You don't got to do it right this second. We can
Many of them.
we'll close, but yeah.
Derek, roll your swim.
It's like, no, I want to drown. All right, so while they're doing that, we'll be back next Friday with more Delta Green, Possible Landscapes. We've got a couple weeks, I think, of this, a couple sessions, and closing in on the end as we're getting closer and closer to that palace. Tomorrow, we'll be back here at 5 Central. You'll see Chelsea. You'll see Ashley, Long, Melissa, myself as we're playing One Ring. We will be exploring a different set of ruins of an old city. What a coincidence. Monday, come back at 9 Central as we're starting a new game. We're starting Deadlands. We're going to play through some of the Blood Drive campaign. So we're going to use Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. So come check that out. We're going to be playing that every other Monday, alternating between that and Ultraviolet Grasslands. So very excited to do some Weird West cowboy cattle wrangling. I don't know. It's going to be weird. Especially since like one of our characters is a dentist who really likes teeth and like really likes teeth. So yeah, should be fun.
Do they have an adopted orphan named Teeth?
Maybe. We'll find out.
I am available for that.
But anyway, that's it for us. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for those of you who hung out. Thanks you for those of us who are watching this later. Those of you who are watching this later on YouTube, we really appreciate it. We're getting very, very close to the end. We're very excited. We'll probably do some. I think we were talking about doing some kind of giveaway, some sort of special little prize thing by the end. So we'll probably do we'll figure something out. Not exactly sure what yet, but we're still kind of working through the details. So yeah, have a good night. And we'll go ahead and do a raid, get you somebody else to watch, and we'll catch you later. So, bye-bye.